fact that
No, I don't want the tough ones.
isn't that funny? You
another
the tough
order of
ones?
these?
The fact that you were talking about how for the first time in the movie you had two publicly identified personalities, you and Baez.
That's the same as going out and hiring Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson couldn't even do it. I don't think Mick Jagger could do it.
No,
another order
because no one knows
muscles and muscles. Yeah,
no one knows Bianca Jagger.
You want something to eat?
I ate something.
No one knows Bianca Jagger, really. You know, she's supposedly an actress, but no one
That's
knows her.
true. She really lays low.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. You and John Baez are definite what used to concertize together.
That's true. So we have a natural thing going.
Well, it's because you represent a period.
Don't you see? There's nobody. I don't know.
No, but you're actually hitting on
Here's the
something.
thing.
This is where art and life sort of come together.
Exactly. And I consider being an artist a tremendous responsibility. Being an artist is a very dangerous thing. You realize how dangerous it is to be an artist, a true artist. It's more dangerous than being a revolutionary.
What do people expect of you and John Baez? Sing together, basically, right?
No, John Baez and Bob Dylan at this point are an illusion. Don't ask me why or don't ask me how it happened. It wasn't planned that way, but that's what happened. John Baez without Bob Dylan isn't too much of an illusion, but John Baez with Bob Dylan is
It's a frightening scene that you let yourself in for. In fact, I was totally embarrassed for you the whole time you were doing that. I wondered why the hell you wanted to do something like that.
Like what?
To allow these two women, one of whom is eminently identifiable.
Right, but you're talking to me as a director now.
As a director, yes, right. As a director, why would you let that happen? And allow the actor to fend for himself. Really? I mean, you got away with it, but I mean, with this business about evasion is in the mind, and truth is on many levels, and I understood that completely, but most people wouldn't be able to get away with it.
This movie's a trial run.
It's a trial, if you ask me.
It's a trial run.
For what?
For the next one.
This is enticing about your next film, but I'm not going to even get into that now. I'm just asking John Baez, and your supposed wife, she had a wig on, so it's hard to identify her as your wife. But people who are going to get a little hip are going to realize that that's what's going on, and they're going to make a big difference.
So what? I mean, Marlon Brando acted with his wife in a movie.
He did?
Yeah.
What were they doing? Talking about their real problems or not? They're pretending they were adventurous.
Yeah, but we can make anybody's problems our real problems.
Except in terms of myth and reality, the fact is that a lot of people who are supposed to be into women's wear daily and whatever, that kind of mentality is going to identify you as you, your wife as your wife with a wig, and John Baez dressed up as a Russian princess. I mean, really, let's face it. I didn't interpret it that way because it got, to me, the interest of that scene would not have been that, because that's anecdotal, and who knows who cares 10 years from now, really. But what bothered me and interested me about that scene was that you actually put yourself in a position where there were these two women, and you were trying to define, you had to decide how much you loved each of them. Now, in King Lear, by Shakespeare, Cordelia has to say how much she loves her father. And the other two sisters say, I love you 100%. You know, that's it. Right. And the daughter, Cordelia, says, I love you as much as I should love you, considering I'm your daughter. That, to me, is true love.
Right. What does Ronaldo say?
Ronaldo says the same thing as Cordelia.
He says, do I love you like her? So what does he say?
I love you differently, basically. I love you the way I love you, and I love her. I don't love you the same way. But that, to me, was like King Lear's scene with the three sisters, the three daughters.
Ronaldo sees himself as King Lear.
I knew there was something about that.
There's a similarity to it, yeah.
Well, you see, I interpreted your basement tapes as being involved completely with King Lear. That is too much of nothing. Nothing.
Exactly.
Did you ever read? I read a review of that once. Did you think that was, I don't know if you ever read it just as well. But the idea of what daughter beneath the sun would treat her father so, to wait upon him hand and foot and always answer no, to me was what King Lear is about to me.
Exactly.
Well,
in the later years it changed. Father to mother.
Whose later years? Yours or his? King Lear's?
His.
King Lear's. But he had a fool around too.
That's true.
And when the fool leaves, Cordelia comes back.
He falls apart.
But Cordelia takes the place of the fool, really. You know, he's in between heaven and hell, and he says,
that's exactly true, but the roles are all interchangeable.
it's like your movie. Your movie's like King Lear in a little bit, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I didn't know you were interested in King Lear particularly. I always thought you were, but every time I wrote it, people thought I was pretentious saying that. What about Tears of Rage? You know, that's a King Lear song. What about Too Much of Nothing? I mean, King Lear's about a play about in which something comes from nothing, and your song is about nothing comes from nothing. Too much of nothing can make a man abuse a king.
Right.
Were you reading that play at the time or what?
No.
Or you just
it's all based on the concept that one is one.
And all alone, and evermore shall be so. You know that rhyme?
Exactly.
But I don't understand that rhyme. It's about God. It's about God, really, isn't it? But the Trinity exists. That's why the Christians brought in the Trinity. So there were three. You could relate to three, but one was too difficult to deal with, you know?
Well, the Christians didn't bring in anything. It was the Greeks.
It was the Greeks.
There weren't any Christians.
But what about all the signs of the cross in your movie?
There weren't any Christians.
What about Jesus in your movie? It's a very strong figure.
Jesus was a Jew.
Yeah, but he helped create or somehow he was involved.
No, he was exploited. He was used.
Exploited. Well,
used and
you've been
exploited.
exploited too.
Exactly. We all have been.
So that's your point about Jesus in this film.
The point about Jesus. Yeah, of course. The point about Jesus in this film is that it's the highest point of identification in the Western hemisphere.
Highest point of identification.
Yeah.
But it's not interesting that Allen Ginsberg's highest point of identification is Jack Kerouac. And
that's exactly right.
And it's weird that I thought that the Kerouac grave cemetery scene was the same as that thing in Lowell. Is that the same place or not? Mm-hmm. It is. Isn't that interesting? I thought they were two different places. Jesus and Jack Kerouac were the same there. Ginsberg
exactly.
But you yourself said that you'd like to be buried in an unmarked grave. You didn't care whether you were Jesus or not Jesus marked that
right.
Why is Allen Ginsberg, who's a very profound poet, I mean, those songs, those things he read, Kaddish poem, to those old women, I mean, let's face it, that is the most vulnerable thing of the film. These pathetic old women who are interested in this.
No, they're not pathetic old women.
I don't mean pathetic, but they are. I mean, when Allen Ginsberg talks about the thing about her vagina, and you cut on that, that was frightening.
Those women are strong.
Do they understand? Do they understand that vision of this guy who could be their son talking about about them?
Yeah.
You think they understand that?
We haven't even touched on the subject of women. You know, in this film.
Yeah, this film's about women a lot, I know.
Well, it's only the layer though. It's the layer on where we're really going to touch on it in the next movie, because women are exploited like anyone else. You know, they're victims just like the coal miners.
What about blacks?
Well, there's blacks too, but don't forget there's black women.
Into the film.
Well, but that's all in the context of Ronaldo's dream.
Is that what that is?
Ronaldo is oppressed.
What's he oppressed about?
He's oppressed because he's born.
Well, what else is new? You know what I mean? I mean, that's not a great theme for a movie. Your film goes beyond that.
Not really.
Depends what you do with your birth. Do you think that's what it's about?
Yeah, Ronaldo's oppressed because he's here.
Because what?
Because he's here.
And he's approaching the hour.
But who's Ronaldo?
And he's approaching. That's right.
Well, who's Ronaldo in this?
Ronaldo is. We don't know anything of who Ronaldo is. We only know who he isn't. We know he's not the masked tortilla.
He's not the what?
The masked tortilla.
Exactly.
He's not
the the head of hopper type or whatever she is. I am the master tortilla.
Ronaldo is the one with the hat. But he's not wearing a hat. Yeah.
I also hear flowers change in every hat.
Right. This movie is I'll tell you what this movie is. It's like life exactly, only it transcends life and it's not like life.
Let's talk about that hat business. I kept on noticing, I've never seen more cigarettes and more hats in the movie except for this French film called La Mère La Coutane, The Mother and the Whore. Did you ever see that film? had this. It was 4 hours. It was really long. It was about, they were all smoking cigarettes. It was about a guy between two women. One's a mother and one's a whore type. But your film is about a mother and a whore, but it is, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You never saw that movie?
No.
By Jean Eustache?
No.
French film? Very interesting movie. Yours is more interesting to me, but that was a fascinating attempt at something. The French have a weird take on you. The French think you're some kind of a demigod. Actually, they have a French take on you.
How is this movie going to be taken in French?
They're going to think it's incredible.
'Cause
It's further out than the La Maman La Putain. That's what it's called. You had a bunch of people speaking French in your movie.
Yeah.
Probably knew it. I've never spoke French so well. Is that him or not?
It's him.
He speaks French quite well. And you
Very
actually
well.
had a couple of
Very
French
well.
words to say, too.
Yeah.
Very interesting. In France, I don't know, Godard put you into, you remember that film he put you into?
Godard?
Remember? He had you in the film. There was a thing of, who is Bob Dylan? There's a French headline in one of his movies. And you never saw that?
No.
Jean-Pierre Léaud reads this headline and says, who are you, Bob Dylan? It was a headline in the French newspaper, and he discusses that, and it was his Bob Dylan movie. You never saw that film called Masculine Feminine?
Eat the document. There's a lot of French, like that whole interview. It's all done in Paris. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't do that here.
Yeah, but you had some weird French stuff going on in this movie.
Yeah, there was some French. I feel very
You
close
never saw
to France.
Masculine Feminine?
No.
Where Léaud reads this headline about you, and the
Never
Frenchies,
did.
you think you're weird and fantastic. They don't understand. They think you're a myth.
Well, good. They'll
You like this film?
I hope they do.
Well, the French have gotten a little decadent too, unfortunately. They've gotten Hollywood attitudinized,
I don't even want to tell you what our next movie's about.
You think that's what you seem to really want to tell me.
I do, because that's what I'm into now. But
Can I ask you what your next film is about? This is the first journalistic question I've asked all evening. He's not going to tell me. Can I come to the set, or is it going to be shot somewhere that's not observant?
anytime, come anytime you want. You can come and see us, edit it, film it. You can be in it.
I won't even write about it.
You can be in it.
Why would I want to be in it? I'm in it whether I'm in it or not. Everyone's in it. Anyway, forgetting about the flattery, what is the next film about? Your new film isn't even released, and you're talking about your next film? That is optimistic.
I consider this movie about, if you're going to say what it's about, this
About
movie...
is the wrong...
Okay,
Why is
no,
about such a problem?
Well, because we all deal in those terms. This movie's about integrity.
Which film? The one we
The one we
saw?
just saw is about integrity.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
True.
The next movie's about obsession.
No, but this film was about obsession too. Definitely. I was going to ask you about obsessiveness. Don't kid me. I mean, obsessiveness is throughout this movie.
That's true.
You didn't emphasize it, but
That's
it was
true,
in
but
there.
only in the light of integrity. Only when it
That's
when it
true.
applies
What
to
about that
integrity.
guy at the cafeteria who talks about truth a lot, like a Marcel Pagnol French film, where some French guy
Right.
comes to you and he's trying to fix your car, and he gives you his philosophy of life. That guy was coming on. You know what I mean? Those French guys. You know what I mean when they're in the country, not in Paris. You give them a half a Gauloise.
Got another plate? Another plate?
You know what I'm talking about? They make things work, those
Yeah,
guys. They
right.
cut the cigarette in half, they put it behind your ear, and they fix your car for you. Now in America, no one fixes your car. They send you to minus mufflers, and they overcharge you. But that guy in that film was like, he kept on coming back like a chorus.
Right, in
Like a
our
Greek
film,
chorus.
we fix your
He
car.
is the chorus.
We fix your car.
That is?
He is the
Isn't that
chorus.
weird that I thought about that? He sounded like a Greek chorus to me. He kept on giving it, and he even
There's a
criticized you.
Shakespearean
He even let him
prologue.
criticize you. He
Yeah.
said everyone in the 60s was a sellout.
There's
The
an
implication being that you sold out as well. That's when I realized that the film was great. When you let him say that you were a sellout, I realized that you hadn't sold out. It was very, very subtle. Very embarrassing, too, but very subtle.
You're right. We've often sat around and talked about that guy as a Greek chorus.
Have you really?
Yeah.
How come I picked up on that way? I have very good psychic powers, but yours are even better.
If he is the Greek chorus, John, what is the man at the pinball machine?
The man of the what?
The pinball machine.
Yeah, but he's very interesting. I mean, he seemed to me like Cummins, Mr. Everyman, or Mr. Plain Dealer. You know what I mean? After the Renaissance, they had a character called the Plain Dealer who told things the way they were. I thought he was a hanger. I have to be honest with you. I won't repeat this. I thought he was. Who was he anyway? I don't know who he was. He seemed to me like a combination of a hanger-on and yet someone who, in his hanging-onness, also told something that was mythically true. I mean, who's the guy at the end who said a myth is a myth? I mean, like, you know, Bob Dylan's married, he's got a family, and everything's groovy, and this is marriage and everything. And so the myth is a myth. He was a guy who was very on one level. I found him on a one-level personality type. You know what I mean? He wasn't hostile towards you, but he was a guy who never could make it on his own. Now, who was this person? I didn't recognize him, quite honestly.
He was a man who played a pinball machine.
Well, I knew if I asked you a question, I'd get a direct answer. Is that who he was?
That's who he was.
He was not a real person who hung up with you in the 50s?
He was, he's the man, he's the narrator of Ronaldo's Dream.
He was a very interesting character. I was glad to see him back because I felt back at home, but I also realized that he was not the most imaginative character in the world, you know? If I'd spent a lot of time with someone, I wouldn't have chosen him, but I was glad he was there. You know what I mean? No, because he brought everything back down to earth. You know, he was kind of like, you know, every time that there was a complex move in his pinball machine, he stopped talking about you. He kind of like, when it started getting down to the flippers, and you notice the ball kept on going in and going out for him? It was incredible. It went in and out, and it went back up. He was quite clever, but he shut up at that point. When he was talking about you, it was all up. The ball was doing its very business. You know what I mean? You see, your film is very interesting. You could really look at it in a lot of ways. What is this business about a clown equals speaking truth in some kind of weird language? I didn't get the etymology of that. I kind of phased out at that point. But the word for clown equals speaking truth. What was that about?
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah, well, that was one of the people that was involved. That was in that chorus.
That's right, but does clown etymologically have something to do with the idea of speaking truth, or what? Or is that just the idea of a clown? Because a clown does speak the truth. That's where everyone's hung up on his clown. Huh?
It was a grignol, some kind of weird word. Celtic word called grignol.
Celtic word, that's what it was. Okay, that explains that one. You did say to me, take notes so I could ask you questions, remember?
Yeah.
I thought you were putting me on completely. You really mortified me. I mean, when you said that to me, I thought, oh my God, this guy is putting me on, and how am I going to deal with this? Because I was taking notes, but you see, I like taking notes because I can remember things this way. I mean, I was talking about Plato, wasn't I? Who was I talking to about tape recorders? It wasn't you. Someone said I shouldn't have a tape recorder because tape recorders, you know, I should be able to do it without having a tape recorder. And I said Plato actually had talked about how writing was a disaster because it made people lose their memories. You know? But I'll tell you, in your film, if I didn't have my notes down here, I'd remember things, but there were a lot of things I'd like to come back to because I wasn't ready to accept them at the point I was watching the movie. For instance, the two women looking for a ride. That bothered me, that film, that scene. It was the two women, and they were talking about the guy was talking about going to Vermont, and the one woman said, oh, you're just making this up, you're just going to Vermont because you're over here in a conversation. There was something weird about that. He was so vulnerable. He said, I have an honest face, don't I? And actually I looked at him, and he did have an honest face. I probably would have gone to Vermont with him. He looked pockmarked and not very good looking. Who was that guy?
I was a truck driver.
He looked kind of nice, actually. Remember you said Teamsters are good guys, or something?
So you had an honest face?
I did, actually. I mean, they showed him. I did. Yeah, at first I thought he was a hypocrite, but then I thought that he actually had an honest face, you know? Which bothered me, the fact that you could show me a movie where this guy was pretending to be honest and was honest. Was he honest or wasn't
Yes, he was.
Whom would he have taken? He wanted Mr. Dillon, didn't he, or what?
No, he didn't know what he wanted.
He didn't know. Who was the other woman, by the way?
Huh?
Who was the other woman? She kept on repeating to him. I don't know who she was.
That's a woman. Her name is Helena.
Yeah,
She appears there. She appears in the railroad yard.
Pretty little girl from Greece.
Pretty little girl from Greece.
She's the pretty little girl from Greece, huh? Let me ask you something about little girls. There were no little girls in this movie. There was one girl in the bordello. There was one girl in the bordello who was supposed to be the virgin. And she was the one when they were saying, let's fuck, or something. And she seemed the most innocent of the bunch.
The one the camera always goes to?
Yeah. Who was she?
Muffin.
Excuse me?
She was a wardrobe girl.
Her name's Muffin?
Yeah.
She looked very innocent. And also, there was a very beautiful young boy in the
very
film.
Beautiful.
With curly hair.
Yeah.
Who was that guy? I mean, really. That was the most beautiful guy in the film. No, I know he's real, but who is he?
Connection, if you didn't see him.
I don't know who he was. The guy who was in the bordello scene, he was curly hair, and they said he had fair skin. That's how they described him. He obviously had the most beautiful hair. The way you used to have your hair.
He's the same guy that plays the violin.
He's shown to you right after he's an angel playing.
He was the angel? He didn't look good as an angel with those briefs. But as a curly-haired guy, he had the most gorgeous hair I've ever seen. And the guy, I thought, my God, no wonder all these women are interested in him. You know, they all want to be bed with him. It's a very interesting scene, that bordello scene. It kept on going and going and going. I thought you couldn't continue it. And then you sang, which is the most audacious and corny thing of all time, and it works perfectly, House of the Rising Sun. Couldn't believe it. I thought, how can you be so one-to-one, you know? I mean... And then in Me Babe was a rumba?
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't it? Or something weird. And then you did, every single song you did had a distinctive national quality to it, which was different from the recorded version. And it bothered me at first. I thought, I don't want to hear an Me Babe done like rumba. I want to hear it done like we did in 72 in New York, you know? Because that was the most effective thing I thought of that song. And then you did an Irish jig or Irish version of, during the Indian thing. I thought that was audacious too. All the nationalities mixed up. There was an Irish thing going on, and the Indians were there. There were all these kids dressed up as Irish people. And that guy who was, when you leave the horse, when you bring the horse and you take the horse and you leave her, unbelievable thing. And that guy, what was he? Half Russian, half Irish? He had an Irish accent, he was Russian or something. And she didn't seem to mind that you left, and you didn't know that you had left on the horse, you didn't even know it was you. And there was a Chopin Polonaise going on during the setting up of the stage. That was incredible. There was the Moonlight Sonata going on at some other point. Are people going to recognize all this stuff, or they just sort of let it float by? Or
I don't know whether...
I guess it doesn't matter at all. I noticed a lot of things in your film that you noticed. What was that Yiddish cabaret? Where does that take place with those women there? He was speaking French, he was speaking Yiddish, he was speaking English. What was going on there? I've never been to one of those places.
It was a man of all nationalities.
It was a Yiddish place, though, wasn't it?
It was a...
It was Yiddishkeit or something.
It was, yeah.
And there was a horror going on. There was this Turkish band doing a horror.
That's right.
And there's someone doing a striptease. It's a very confusing movie. I should never have drunk all this wine. I can't figure it out now, and I couldn't figure it out then. There's something about Dostoevsky I noticed. There was a scene where you showed up with your patchwork quilt jacket. You either had one of two uniforms, either your patchwork quilt thing or your fedora with the flowers changing each time, and the scarf, right?
Right.
Or there was this patchwork quilt thing. At one point, you were sitting down in a scene that was straight out of Dostoevsky. There was some guy talking to you, and it was talking about very heavy issues. It was straight out of some Dostoevsky scene where people meet each other, and the first thing they talk about is not how's the weather, but do you believe in God? And I felt this heavy Dostoevsky quality about that.
Right.
Is that what you intended, or what?
Exactly.
There's also a bit of Nathaniel West in there with the end of the world, and California's the end of the world. There was something weird about that. Do you like Nathaniel West, or what?
No, I don't particularly like him.
I don't think you did, but there was some quality about that was interesting in a way, you know.
Let me ask you this. What kind of feeling did you get? Remember this. Remember I saw you during the intermission.
I was so exhausted, I couldn't talk to you. I didn't want to make a compliment. I thought it was great, but I couldn't talk to you.
Did the movie exhaust you at the end?
Yes,
or?
it exhausted me in the middle.
But did you get up after you saw it, or did it exhaust you out, or?
By exhausting, I just mean there was a lot of information coming in. And
it didn't wipe you out so that you were...
No, not at all. I wish it had been longer. If there was a third part, I would have watched longer.
I would have sat there longer if there was more there.
But you said something...
But you did feel it all resolved. You felt it resolved, yeah.
No. You told me the film was a different twist of fate, so to speak.
No, because life is in...
No, life doesn't resolve, of course, but you did feel that it resolved in the contents of the movie.
I was mixed up between being laughing hysterically and getting very depressed. They're both very common feelings.
There's some ugly scenes in the film.
Scenes, right?
I mean, was there a Philadelphia scene where they were the preacher and the priest were together?
No, that was New York.
That was New York. Was that Wall Street?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. That was interesting because there was a preacher and a priest, and I always associated you with the prophet. I mean, as opposed to the priest. And yet the priest was quite aggressive. He beat some guy up who was putting him down, I never think of priests as doing it. I always think of priests as being very namby-pamby and sort of agreeing with everybody. I always thought of your
He wasn't a
as being
priest.
prophetic.
Yeah,
What was he?
no. He wasn't a priest. He was more of a preacher.
Yeah, but he had a collar on.
Yeah,
The other
he
guy
did.
was the preacher.
Let me ask you something. When the second...
Just on desire. These guys are hoodlums, and they're basically, you were completely...
Well, let them say what they want.
No,
Doesn't
but I
matter.
mean, is Hurricane Carter guilty or
No,
not?
I don't personally think he is.
Okay. That affects...
And even if he did do, which is outrageous, that he actually committed this crime.
Yeah.
That they say he did commit.
It doesn't
I
matter
still
to
don't
me.
believe he's guilty.
Well, it doesn't matter if he's guilty.
Okay,
or not.
I
The songs are
personally
better
don't believe
than the case.
Okay, I personally don't believe he's guilty, and I don't.
But
think...
what is there going on about this Hurricane Carter thing? You didn't deal with that. You made it so much in the present that at that time that you didn't know whether Hurricane Carter was guilty or not. The interviews with the Harlem people were interesting.
Okay, that's all we could get out of
Why
it.
did you put them in, by the way? Aside from the fact that it was on the tour.
We put that in because of this man who is not that unlike anyone else in the film.
He was very righteous, though.
He is righteous. He's
And
a righteous
very good.
man.
He's like you, that way.
He's a very philosophic man. He's not your typical bank robber or
No, he isn't.
mercy slayer.
That's true.
He's he deserves better than what he got.
Is he a hustler or isn't he?
No, I don't know. Not to me he isn't.
All right, I don't know what
He's
he's supposed
exactly
to be.
what he is in the film. He's
Yeah, why would a guy who writes a book and says he's innocent after 9 or 10 years in jail want to lie? What's the point of that? I'm innocent about that. I think, why would this guy want to lie if he's
well, go see him. Go see him. He didn't.
Well, why did they give him such a bad case in New Jersey?
Don't you know?
No, I don't.
That wasn't the point I was going to ask.
No, I'm sorry.
I was going to. After that, you see the woman again talking about. All of a sudden, she's talking about her record. First of all, she says, "Wasn't you and it wasn't me. Wasn't you and it wasn't me." Remember her singing that song? And then she says, "By the way, I have some records, and they're $1 right here, and you can get them when you're, over there at the counter."
Yeah.
And then the scene changes. Eventually, it gets to back to the guy at the pinball machine, who's talking about all the people.
Chorus.
Yeah, right. Well, the superficial chorus.
Yeah.
Who's talking about the? He's talking about the early days in New York. Freddie Neal, David Crosby, Joan Baez, Phil Oates, Jack Elliott, and then he says, it's amazing. He says, in fact, it's still going on. It's even funnier now than it was then. Remember that?
Absolutely. I don't know what that meant.
Okay, and then you see him playing the pinball machine some more. Boom. And then it ends. And then you see the shot of the church.
Yeah.
And her coming walking out of the church with the rope and walking down the street.
Absolutely.
How did that make you feel?
I was exhilarated because she was so gorgeous. I have to be honest with you now, okay? I have to tell you that I shouldn't be saying this, but I was sexually turned on. That's the feeling I got. I saw this woman with long hair. I didn't get her face. I saw her with some rope. I saw her with some boots, Spanish leather or not, and she was walking down what looked like the Boston Commons. I don't know what it was. And all of a sudden, when she went to see this guy, I was disappointed because, there was a jailbreak, right?
Yeah.
I know, it was incredible. I don't understand that at all. She was a turn on to me. That's all I can tell you.
How did the whole thing make you feel?
I have to tell you, I had a visceral response to it. But I didn't have an intellectual response to it.
You remember the lines that were spoken over her coming out?
No, what was it?
You don't remember that, huh?
What was it?
Well, it was double tracked. It was a song and there was a poem.
Now, the poetry was interesting because Ann Woman's poem came on when you were hustling the street.
Yeah, no, this was different.
This was something else. Now, what was this now?
Well,
Okay,
one of the
very
reasons you were
complex
probably
movie.
turned on, whatever you
Something
got,
turned on
you were
about it.
turned on
Was it
because of the
Ginsberg or what?
track.
Was it Ginsberg's Kaddish or what?
No, it was all. It was
was
like
the woman.
everything was going at one
But wasn't it
time.
Ginsberg's thing with your Russian eyes? And
Yeah,
something?
that was it.
That's what turned me on. And it was that same thing he was reading to those women later on in that Hasidic or B'nai B'rith or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Was that what was
It's
going on?
sexual, isn't it?
there's something about his relationship to his mother that's very sexual. I mean,
It wasn't about his mother. That's
oh yes, Kaddish was about his
It
mother.
was not Kaddish.
But that's where the lines were being read.
Not that time.
Oh yes, it was.
Really?
With your Russian eyes and your this mouth and your this, it's like Said Our Lady of the Lowlands. It's a version of it, right? That chant thing. Is that true or not?
Yeah, that's true.
Why did you associate those two together? That's what made it so bizarre to me. He was talking about his mother, and yet there was a sexual woman coming out of a church with a whip. Basically, I don't know if it was a snake or it was a rope, and then I found it was a gel escape from some white guy whom I didn't know what was going on. There was some words spoken above his voice. You see, your film is very bizarre. If I were stoned watching that or drunk right now, I wouldn't know what to make of that movie. I didn't know what to make of it then, but can you imagine if I were drunk? I mean, I love that aspect of it. Was I wrong about this or what? There's no right or wrong about your movie, really, is there? There's no right or wrong way to see it, is there?
No. Not if you really see it.
Without ideals of violence, really, your film is really incredible. Yet there's a lot of violence with regards to human relationships in that film. Men and women don't seem to get on too well together.
Yeah.
Oh well, we won't go into that. Is that true or not? I don't know. I felt very happy about the relationships between the sexes there. I mean,
well, it's not Little House on the Prairie, you know?
I never knew you read that book. That was one of my favorite books. Laura Ingalls Wilder, you mean that little girl growing up in a family? Very interesting. I know you read that stuff. Now, I'm not being presumptuous, but most people don't know that stuff when they're over the age of 7 or 8. They read it when they're 7 or 8, you know. She's a great writer, isn't she? I always liked her better than Hemingway. She could describe how a door was being built better than Hemingway could. Really, shit. I'll tell you, there's something very interesting you're seeing of the composition of the bordello. The end of the first part, with the bordello. Joan Baez's listening to that mama, whoever she was, singing that language, the angel, and then the scene ends, the thing ends. That was a very rich, multi-textured, polyphonic sequence, filmically. You know what I mean? Yeah. Very, very rich. And very mysterious. I didn't understand that at all. And in fact, there was no reason for me to understand it. Also, I love the meditation scene with the history of rock and roll, the history of American Indian culture, and Indian culture. You were a genius to get that. How did you ever do that? I've never seen anything visually and orally which combines Indian meditation, American Indian meditation, and rock and roll perspective. That was it. By the ocean. What looked like the Plymouth scene or something.
It was amazing,
wasn't that incredible? How did you ever pull that one off? I wrote this down, I thought, behind, who can read it, meditation, Indian, Peter Orlovsky. I made these notes and I thought, no one is going to believe this if I write this down. I mean, this is not possible. You know, this is all happening once in the history of universal consciousness in this one scene, with the music in it too. How did you do that?
Well, we worked hard at it.
That wasn't natural or what?
No.
The rumba version of It Ain't Me, Babe was incredible. White paint on your face, that's what I have here. Dylan drawing, I can't even read my notes here. Something Carter, the interviews with Wendy Apollo, yeah. Fred Neil, though, your friend, the chorus there, said he was snobbing to Fred Neil because he didn't know whether he was traditional or whether he was part of the folk commercial establishment, really. Isn't that funny? Fred Neil is so traditional to me. That guy never made it at all, did he? The idea that this guy literally is so subtle to think that Fred Neil might be part of the commercial establishment. That was amazing. Who was this guy, by the way? Was he a friend of yours?
At the pinball machine?
Yeah. Is he a real person?
Yeah, he's a real person.
She Belongs to Me, by the way. That was an incredible version. What do I have here? Brown hair, rope, long dress, rain, woman walking out of church. Was She Belongs to Me at that point or not?
Yeah.
It was an R&B version of it too. That was so interesting. I never heard it sung like that before.
That's why you felt what you felt. I just asked you about that scene.
Yeah, that's the one you asked me about.
Yeah.
That was the song that was going on through it. That's what created that strange version, because She Belongs to Me has that very ironical thing about Joan Baez, or whoever it's about. I mean, it think it's a love song, but in fact it's this kind of song about this woman who's really putting someone down a lot, you know, and done this in an R&B version and made it very sexy, as opposed to very ironical, you know what I mean? Do you choose ways to do a song on the spur of the moment, or what, or on the basis of your instrumentation? Because I'll tell you, the violinist definitely determined a lot of the tones of voice of the songs, I noticed, a lot. There was a thing that she had right at the end. Right near the end you did a song, and she did a violin solo that really was incredible, that made it very like a trance.
You smoked this whole pack of cigarettes? 20 cigarettes?
I just gave them up. What was the thing where she did that incredible violin solo that lasted for quite a while? You know the one I'm talking about? It was near the end of the film. I wish I could tell you because it was quite surprising. I wrote the word entranced down. I hope I can find it. I'm sorry I wrote all these notes down, but the film, I'm sorry, deserve that. I know you were against people writing down, you know, like he who prophesies with your pen. You know, I took that to heart, but let me ask you this general question. You wrote in Times They Are Changing, he who gets something is he who gets stalled. He who gets hurt is he who gets stalled. How have you gotten...
Who gets hurt
will be he who gets stalled.
He who gets hurt will be he who
is stalled.
No, that's not it. Exactly.
That's in the time. It isn't?
It's he who gets hurt will be he who is stalled. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. How did you never get stalled? In spite of everything that's happened in the 70s, the 60s, the drugs, the pressures on you, the hero worship, how did you never get stalled? I mean, this film is an epitome of testament to the fact that you didn't get stalled, because you could have done a crappy film.
Well, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What keeps you going, in other words? What keeps you not stalled? Even when you get stalled, it's fascinating because you never can disguise the fact that you're
Mainly
stalled.
because I don't believe in this life.
The Jewish tradition and versus the Buddhist tradition is interesting. The Buddhist tradition, generally speaking, believes in illusion, which you have in a lot of your songs. The Jewish tradition believes in allusion, where everything implies something else. In that sense, are you more Jewish or more Buddhist? If you don't mind me asking you a personal question.
Say it is really.
For instance, in a lot of your songs I've noticed you talk about illusion, like in the Tango About the Blue. It's an illusion to me now, and you talk about it in Tough Mama, whereabout you talk about illusion a lot. But there's also a thing in your songs which has to do with allusion, which has to do with a very Jewish idea that every object or desire or feeling relates to, alludes with an A to something else. There's a difference between illusion and allusion. I always wanted to ask you this question. I don't mean to be heavy about it, but do you believe in allusion or illusion? When you say you don't believe in this life,
I've never heard of allusion before.
To allude to something. When I allude to the fact that this tape recorder reminds me of a greater tape recorder in the great beyond, that's an allusion, as opposed to this tape recorder is an illusion, it doesn't exist.
Oh.
That's the way I would say it. Which do you believe in?
Well, I believe in both, but I probably would lean to allusion.
You seem to me, because you seem to be more Jewish in your orientation.
Yeah, I'm not a Buddhist.
But the ego protection beads of Ann's are Buddhist.
They're Buddhists. Yeah.
And Allen Ginsberg is Jewish, yet it's funny to see you two Jews walking around
Allen
a place
is
that was Christian.
He's a Buddhist Jew.
Yeah, but that's right, but he's not a Buddhist Christian. He's a Buddhist Jew.
Nobody's
It's interesting the poets that he chooses to remember. You saw Victor Hugo and Chekhov. You asked about Chekhov. He sees Apollinaire and Mayakovsky. It's interesting. I mean, if anyone knows about poetry, he's a real poet, and you're a natural poet, but he's being more like a teacher. You're more instinctive, and he's being more like, you're choosing obvious poets who appeal to national races. Like Mayakovsky is a national hero in Russia. So is Hugo in France. Mayakovsky and Chekhov, Mayakovsky and Apollinaire are still amongst the elite. You're more of a universal poet than Ginsberg. I'm not putting him down, so in fact, some of the most moving moments in the film are his recitations. And you gave him some space and time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you were very generous towards him, but when he was with you, he was more like a teacher with someone who was like more natural. That's my feeling about that scene at the graveyard. Do you know what I mean? But what were you talking about that brought this up? something important, and I messed it up.
Illusion and illusion?
Yeah, that's what it was. You have both, yeah. With emphasis more on illusion. Yeah, you wouldn't make a perfect Buddhist, really.
No.
And yet you said that something doesn't exist. What'd you say doesn't exist? You don't believe this life is real?
Yeah.
Well, that's illusion, isn't it? Or do you think...
No,
because
you asked me how I can keep going.
I did, because you said the life isn't for you. The world...
Yeah, and I said
what is
because
it?
I don't believe in this life. That's how I can
Well, which
keep
life do
going.
you believe in? You believe in life, obviously.
Yeah, I believe in life, but not this life.
Well, this life is pathetic. Well, which life isn't pathetic to you?
Real life.
Did you ever experience real life or not? Obviously
Yeah,
you do still,
yeah.
but
I
was
do
it in
all-
your childhood or what?
No, I experience it all the time.
You do really?
Yeah, it's beyond this life.
Does that have something to do with your belief in God or not?
I don't think so.
Remember when Ginsberg asked all those kids whether they believe in God? What if you were asked if you were one of those kids, what would you have said to him? I think we will end this right now. I didn't plan on that, believe me, but the music is where it's at, man. As you once quoted some movie. What was that?
Could I have another bottle of that?
Why do you need another bottle of that? You're less too drunk than I am. Oh, well, I think I've answered everything I have to ask you. I have many more questions, but
This is music for millions of it.
what is this? Why did they make it so loud? Just for that moment. I wasn't being facetious with you, really. I really wanted to know what you thought. I mean, wasn't it a little unfair for Ginsberg to ask these kids what God was like as they had teeth? And I mean, it's pathetic that these young kids think that God looks like a human being. It's not sad. It's just like those kids who didn't have any dreams at night, or didn't remember them. That's not. I was depressed by that.
Yeah, that's right. That's the point of it. The point of the movie is to depress and then uplift you.
To depress and then uplift you. Well, not everyone's fortunate to be able to talk to you after the film. I mean, some people are not going to understand that you knew what you were doing. Everyone thinks you're just shooting out of, well, let's see what happens, Well, anyway, all I can say is that I really enjoy seeing the movie. And I'd like to see it again. But then again, you've been such an inspiration to so many people, so many years. I tell you, I thought of one thing, though. When I was thinking about Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands, I had to do an interview once with an actress named Dominique Sando in Italy, and she gave me a very hard time. Jan Renner, the editor of Rolling Stone, thought she was gorgeous, so I went to see her. Have you ever seen her in movies? Dominique Sando? She was in The Garden of Fitzy Continis and in a film by Bresson called Une Femme Douce, Soft Woman. She's very beautiful. And I had dinner with her, and she said, you know more about my movies than I know about myself, and I can't talk English anymore. And at the end of it, she told me a few of her dreams. And I immediately gave her a copy of tape I had with me at the time of Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. It's funny, I was thinking of running into... Oh, sorry.
Well, that looks good.
Have you ever drunk this wine? Have you ever drunk it? How do you like it?
I do.
It's quite good, isn't it?
Yes.
You should definitely, therefore, be much more assured of your choice. Because it's really quite good. Definitely. Anyway, so I thought about Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands, and I thought about Mercury Mouth, Eyes Like Smoke, something like Prayers Like Rhymes, Silver Cross, Flesh Like Silk. You filled in this woman as you were singing a song. The whole song was a filling in as of a person, and at the end of the song, there was a human being. That's the way I always think of that song. And unfortunately, my interview with this actress didn't go very well. But if she had just filled herself in while I was talking to her, I would have been very pleased. Don't you think that Lady of the Lowlands is the filling in of someone?
Yeah.
A creation. It's about creativity to me. Isn't that what it is to you, or what?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's about your wife or ex-wife or a person. I just think it's about what a creative process is like when you fill someone in. Don't you think that's what it is, or not?
I sure do.
What about just like a woman, where you feel like you're being born out of the womb of this woman? It was your world, and I was caught, and I had to leave. You can't help it. You're in your mother or in a woman, and you're coming out, and you have to leave. And that's what I felt just like a woman is about. All these people wrote about it being about a gay guy I always thought it was about a person who had to be stuck inside of a woman for 9 months and had to leave. Is that correct or not? It was your world, and I was hungry, and it was your world. I feel this feeling so deeply. Do you think that's true or not? I don't want to read into your songs and interpret them to death because they mean lots to lots of people. And to a woman it can mean the same thing. But it seems to me about being born, that song. You use the word amphetamine so people think it's a drug song. But to me it doesn't mean that. It means this woman who gives life to something and you come out of it. What do you think? I thought a lot about this. It just hits me, though, without even thinking about it sometimes. That's just like in the Jack of Hearts song. I thought that the Jack of Hearts was you and that you were a character in your song. But then again, I realized there was a line in the song about she saw her reflection in his knife. And she kills this guy with the knife. The reflection was in her knife. And the whole song is about reflections, you know. And a pack of cards. It really interests me a lot. Anyway, I'm not being very articulate. I don't know. I just thought about something about them. The more I think about them, the less I understand them. But when all of a sudden it hits me. That's what it was. Just like a woman is like giving birth to something. It must be amazing to be a woman giving birth to some creature. Who might have been you know, or me, or Annie, or Howard. You know what I mean? Really incredible. And everyone thinks it's a song about a guy, or it's about a drug fiend. I mean, it is obviously maybe set off by that, but it's something deeper than that. I was hungry and it was your world, or just inside the rain. Rain, also, what can you say? Weberman, the only thing that he ever did for me was that he was an idiot, but basically the idea of interpreting your certain words like rain. I started thinking about rain in your songs, and rain is a very deep image. Louise holds herself, so whatever it is, Louise holds a handful of rain. I don't know what that means, but inside the rain, I did interpret it once too. This Maurice Sendak is a children's book illustrator. I don't know if you know him, and he was frightened by what I said about the idea of rain. That rain to me means the self, and being inside of myself means like being inside of the rain. Tonight I'm inside of the rain. That's what it meant to me, really. The rain as the self. I know it sounds like some kind of academic statement, but to me, this film also that you did was about a self with many aspects of the self inside of it. And I'm sure if a person interprets it that way, then the ending will make sense too, because the ending is very ironical. And if there's no reason for it to be ironical, who is that black crooner singing this idiotic song with the most incredible line I've ever heard in pop music? I wrote it down. I hope I got the page, because I ran out of pages here. And luckily, I found an empty page in my book in the dark. Because I absolutely had to write down this line he said. I don't know the song, quite honestly. But there was a line.
Was it the last line?
It was one of the lines in the song. It was, without that, the most idiotic line I've ever heard, but it was incredible. And I don't know how you got away with ending a film with this guy. I mean, really. It makes what?
It makes complete sense.
It does? Well, you're further out than I am. I mean, I'm not very far out. What was this? No, you are. I mean, what was this line? I lost the page. There's a blank page in here which does contain that line. Do you know what I mean?
Morning of my life?
Yawning until the morning of my life?
Yeah.
I'm yawning until the morning, something about yawning. And I thought this is the most inane line I have ever heard. And yet it's a very profound line. Isn't it or not? What is it something so banal and so profound? The Indians were, with people get ready. Anyway, I don't know which tape is which here. I'm sure this is all completely off of me. How many tapes did I record with you tonight? Do you think anything came out? What if nothing came out? It would be a very sad experience. It was great for me, but not for my readers. What was I just asking you about the end of the film, about the yawning, about the yawn? No, seriously, do you know why you ended with him or what? That was a very perverse attitude thing on your part, wasn't it, or what?
No, the film had to end with him.
Nah, seriously, why did it have to end with him? It could have ended with Jim McGuinn's Chestnut Mare. You cut off his thing.
Ask her.
That's whom?
I just was all
Annie, you mean? Yeah.
No, ask him.
No, what did you think? The very last thing of the film.
Something very different from you.
No, I love the ending, but I was weird.
It was totally about sex.
About what?
It was about sex.
The whole film?
No.
Why don't I leave you three alone? That's what you thought it was about, really. The other film was about sex. Well, it was in a way.
It was also one of the first times you saw the audience close up. The only time.
Where was that filmed? Where was that film that died?
Cape Cod.
Really? It wasn't the Hadassah bunch, was it? It was someone else, huh?
Similar to that.
Similar, yeah.
You know, a lot of it's funny.
He was very good looking, but he was like what rock and roll is, what's happened to rock and roll in the 70s.
He's not rock and roll.
Well, rock and roll isn't rock and roll anymore. Do you think that disco is rock and roll or what?
No, there's no more rock and roll.
Do you think there is or not?
No, there's no more
What's
rock and
happened to it?
roll. It's a parody. Rock and roll is has become it's turned itself inside out.
So what's it turn into? That guy?
No. Yes, it does.
Really?
As a matter of fact.
Really? That's what it comes down
That's
to.
what it comes down to. There's no more rock and roll.
There's Johnny Ace. That song that you and Joan Baez sang was that's a great, great song. I mean, that's equal to anything you've ever written. I shouldn't be so harsh, but that's a very great song. It's very simple. It's equal to the best of your great, simple songs, you know? And that song that he was singing in disco today is not what I consider Johnny Ace.
No, that's what it's deteriorated to. Johnny Ace wasn't there to sing that song, so we sang it.
Well, Buddy Holly's not bad, and you like Buddy Holly too,
Yeah.
along with Johnny Ace. They're very similar, they're very simple, and very real.
No, there's no more rock and roll though. We can forget about that.
Well, what are you doing now? Making movies?
I never did do rock and roll. I'm just doing the same old thing I've always done.
Have you ever sang a rock and roll song or not? Really?
No, I never have.
You couldn't really dance to any of your songs, could you, or what?
I couldn't.
Like a Rolling Stone. Well, wait a minute, let me think. Everyone Must Get Stoned. I think dancing to that song would be a very bizarre, alienating experience. Because there is lines in that song like, I don't know why I feel so alone, or everyone must feel so alone. It's always about total alienation. Everyone thought it was a heavy drug song. I don't understand that. Why did they interpret that song as being a heavy, groovy song? I thought it the most alienating of your songs.
Which one?
Everyone, Rainy Day Woman.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like they're trying to stone you everywhere you go, and I don't know why I feel so alone. Everyone must get stoned. It was a total illogical song. Everyone thought that was about being stoned, and I thought it was about being all alone.
I know, you could write about that for years.
Didn't you think? In a way, you fooled everybody. Everyone thought it was like the epitome of drug consciousness.
Right.
I thought it was about the epitome of being completely alienated.
That's true.
Well, obviously I was right and you were right, but no one else is right. I mean, that guy in the movie, doesn't he talk about the jukebox saying, is that in the movie or in my dreams?
No,
When the guy says, I heard everyone must be stoned, I thought it was, where was that take place? Was that in the film or not? The dream is becoming my dream now, right? Was there anything seen in the film where the guy talks about everyone must get stoned in the jukebox? Where did I read that recently? Some guy was talking, some Midwestern guy or Southern guy, and talked about hearing the song, and it was in a book. I was reading something about you, and this guy said he heard the song, and to him it was a recognition that he was part of the world because everyone around him was never smoking any dope, and he was, and that song to him was like a entry into the world. So for him, that was what it meant. To me, it meant smoking dope and being alienated was no fun. Isn't that funny? We both got two different things on it. You appeal to both of us, you know?
Rock and roll ended with Phil Spector.
With Phil Spector. What about the Leonard Cohen album? That's not rock and roll, really.
No, the Beatles weren't rock and roll either.
They weren't? Me and My Monkey is pretty good rock and roll, don't you think, by John Lennon? You don't think so? Inside Is Out and Outside
It's not
Is In?
rock and roll.
What about the Rolling Stones? Is that rock and roll or not?
No,
That isn't either.
no,
Hot rocks and all that.
no. Rock and roll is,
Did you ever write a rock and roll song?
no.
Really? What about Corinna Corinna?
That's an old Robert Johnson song.
I know, but I mean, everyone's done it, but you don't think that was rock and roll?
Rock and roll ended with Little Anthony and Imperials. That was it.
Which one? I think I'm going out of my mind, or what?
The one before
That
that.
was not really rock and roll, was it? That was gay, early gay business. You really think that rock and roll ended with Little Anthony and the Imperials? You must be kidding. Really? You think that? 63 sort of, 64. Well, wait a minute. Subterranean Homesick Blues, what's
no,
that?
rock and roll ended in 59.
59. Well, what about Too Much Monkey Business, which you took for Subterranean Homesick Blues?
That was at 59.
Yeah, but Subterranean Homesick Blues was on a rock and roll station.
It wasn't rock. Yeah, but there can be rock and roll stations, but they
No rock and
weren't
roll.
playing rock and roll.
Well, when did rock and roll begin for you? That's a more interesting question.
54.
That late? What about Tampa Red and people like that who were doing stuff in the late?
Well, that was early. No, that was.
Or Cecil Gant.
No, those were old blues, right? Blues,
You think that was blues, really?
black blues. Yeah.
I don't know. There's some Tampa Red.
Black blues,
that's
white
like
blues.
You and the band in the basement tapes.
Yeah, there wasn't any
so?
rock and roll after.
Really? Well, then what is there now?
Clown music.
Clown music? I'll tell you something. You said something though I read recently, just the other day. In Desire, you said, "Never fearful, finally faithful. It will guide me well across all bridges, inside all tunnels, never failing." I think that's beautiful. Don't you think?
I remember when I wrote that.
You do? You don't really.
No, I wrote that in New Hampshire.
I just remember when I read it, it was 2 nights ago.
It was about 3 years ago. Yeah,
That's a very beautiful statement about Desire. Your last album was called Desire.
that's right.
That still holds up. I think that's a great message, really. I think that's. You wrote that in New Hampshire. Why'd you write in New Hampshire? You with someone or by yourself?
I think it was all alone.
Yeah, it's funny. In that same thing that you wrote, you had something about loneliness. It's very interesting. Mine shall be a strong loneliness. It's the same thing. Dissolving deep to the depths of my freedom, and that then shall remain my song. Don't you think that's beautiful, really? You really kept true to that in a way.
Yeah, well, I haven't had any reason to stray.
Well, I think this probably covers it for tonight. I had all this stuff from Eisenstein that I was going to ask you about.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
one last thing. Eisenstein had an idea of montage, because your film is filled with montage, actually.
Right.
It's just extended. Howard, do you work on montage with Bob or not? I don't want to change the subject here.
This guy really saw the film, didn't he?
No,
he really saw the
montage.
film.
You really bring film back to Russian filmmaking to me, and that's why I like the film.
Good.
Forget about American filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone said about Frank Capra, and you can go back to the 30s, but your films. I was reading something about Capra, and he talks about the following. He talks about when Eisenstein first started talking about film, he talked about montage meant attraction to him, a shot attracting another shot, right? Then he talked about a shot shocking another shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then he talked about a mental fusion and synthesis of all these things. So there was attraction, there was shock, and there was fusion and synthesis. Then he finally talked in musical terms about montage. He talked about the overtone of a shot. If you showed a shot, there was an overtone to it. You know, like in an octave gives a fifth and then a fourth, you know. And I noticed in this film of yours, this comes right back to your film tonight.
Yeah.
I really felt, really watching it, that there was the overtone system was working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure do.
And that Eisenstein really was not a hyper-intellectual notion that I really felt close to. He could document how to too, but this was more, you gave it more chance and more space and more time to
Right.
occur, so that you
Well,
were more vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
And then I felt that Eisenstein finally at the end talked about, he had a preoccupation with emotional saturation, with ecstasy, with the synchronization of the senses, and with myth, and with primitive thought. And throughout his life, thank God because he was a communist and had to toe the party line, had to deal with his ideas about primitive thought, synchronization of the senses, but he had to toe a party line, so he had to justify everything. So his theory, in a way, was, to me, part of his way of dealing with the world. Whereas you don't have much of a theory. On the other hand, you have all the ingredients that he had. And finally, he quoted something where he said, he was talking about not Mayakovsky, you know, Stanislavski and all those naturalist types. He said, These people string their emotions together to give a continuous illusion of reality. He said, what I do is take photographs of reality and then cut them up so as to produce emotions. And I'll tell you, that's the way I felt your film looked to me tonight. Do you think that's accurate or not?
Pretty accurate.
Sort of, not exactly, because there were some illusions of reality too in the film. But don't you think there's a little combination of both, and you kind of combine them? Illusions of reality and reality, cutting them up and making emotions out of it. Do you think or not, really? I don't want to read something into what you're doing. This is a nice quote, you know, and it doesn't necessarily apply, but I feel that you're both...
What we did was cut up reality and make it more real.
Well, you went beyond what I was trying to do at that time because he had stolen over him.
Yeah.
You know? You don't have any steel except for your dreams of iron and steel, do you?
That's right. But we got a tremendous fight with this film. I mean, you like it.
I love it.
And other people will, and there's a few other people which will be ready for it. But, you know, you have to have a certain amount of life experience to be able to...
I think so.
To look at it, you know?
I think it helps my having seen a lot of films also, by seeing, not because I'm addicted to films, which I'm not, but I'm glad I saw Eisenstein and a lot of films throughout the years, you know. It gives me, if I had just seen a bunch of films made by Richard Brooks or these people, you know, I wouldn't have much of a sense of what you can do with film. If I had just listened to the disco sound, I wouldn't have an idea of Otis Redding, you know what I mean? That's what I mean, really. Okay, well, you won't go any further. Where? What do you mean? Otis Redding? Well, yes and no. I mean, Otis Redding isn't alive. Whoops. Otis Redding was... Every time I look at your influences, when you write about them, you always write about great people. Big Joe Williams was one I came across today in the book. How did you ever know about these people? I know you went to other people's record collections, but even so, Henry Thomas and... I mean, the more I listen to these people, I hear you in it, but I mean, you've transformed all that. That's
I
why
was
this film...
fortunate. I ran across those people.
At a time when they were still available, right?
Yeah. Big Joe
Today,
Williams.
Henry Thomas and Big Joe Williams, you know, people don't know who they are except if you're lucky.
Yeah, no, I used to hear... I've heard Big Joe Williams when I was 19 years old.
Well, what about film, though? You didn't go to film when you were 19, did you?
No, I don't know anything about film.
John Ford, right, or what? What have you edited? I mean, what film stuff did you do, Howard, aside from, you know, Bob's films? Really? So you've got a whole film background, you mean? Yeah, I don't know much about your career and stuff, so I'm sorry about that. But I mean, so when you come to his films, how do you keep a fresh eye for what he's doing? Because his films are not along the lines of what's going on in any way whatsoever. I mean, it's complete gray. This film is not like anything being shown today, either in underground cinemas or in establishment cinemas. Really, I just go to movies all the time. It's gone now, but it doesn't exist like this. That's why I got so nostalgic watching the film.
This feels like an editing
So it's all on all sorts of levels, really.
I think I would like to know how much.
Well, who edits whom? I mean, he tells you what he wants or what? I mean, how do you work with him on editing? I don't understand how you do it.
Well, Howard is a cameraman. He shot the film, too.
Well, I think you were fortunate in your cameraman this time.
What I can tell you is that, to quote Albert, when you're talking about Eisenstein and all the theory, to quote Albert and Eat the Document, we don't talk to each other like that.
Well, fine. Well, then you have an instinctive, intuitive thing. But really, most film people do not today. Even if they're intuitive, they think about...
Well, no, but you have to be in tune with someone.
Well, whom are you in tune with when you work on a film?
Usually, everyone that's on the film.
Was Dan Shepard doing dialogue for you or not?
He was supposed to,
Did he do dialogue on this?
No.
It's just turned in the book, right?
Yeah.
The book is weird, really.
Well, no, he was supposed to do dialogue.
He's a great playwright, but he didn't. He got too much hero worship.
No, we had to throw all his dialogue out.
I think he admired you too much.
Well, he tried real hard. We tried to do a lot of scenes, you know, that he came up with. He came up with a lot of scenes, and we did the scenes that he came up with. But
who's the bordello scene?
Huh?
Whose idea was the bordello scene? Well, it doesn't matter. It's a very rich scene as you've turned it into. I mean, it might not have been, but you turned it into a very rich situation. Did you feel that was rich in a way?
See, everyone
His first 5 or 6
everyone
times.
who worked on this movie was together on the movie. So that's what's different about most movies, or most anything you see. If a novelist is writing a novel, well then that's all he has to deal with is himself. If you're dealing with a movie, you have a lot of people to deal with. If they're not all a part of it and know what's going on and feel for it, then you're not going to get a movie which is tied together this way. Well, everybody cared.
Did you have to organize the tour as well, though?
No, somebody else was
Someone
doing
else
that.
did that. I don't know how you dealt with that.
No, like Fassbender makes movies in Germany all the time. He's got a crew of 20 people.
He makes 4 a
Yeah,
year.
he's got 20, 30 people.
Is that what he does?
Yeah. See, and that's what... we can't make these movies without people who know what we're doing. Everybody in this movie knows what we're doing, and it's a crew. It's a crew of people.
They knew what you were doing, too?
It's Bob Dylan didn't go out and make this movie.
Well, you hardly appeared in the first half.
Right.
You didn't talk once.
Okay, everyone just had a lot of faith in that we were going to make a movie. The same way we did this movie, and the next one too. Everyone from the cameraman to the water boy knows is just as important.
Really?
Everyone plays as important role. The cameramen were in the movie. The guys that were taking sound were the cameramen. The people on the stage were wardrobe people. There weren't any roles defined. You see, that's how we were allowed to make this movie. You can watch and see how they make a movie in this town. You won't believe how they make a movie.
I know how to do it. It's abstract. Division of labor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. We don't have that.
Special, and they don't go outside of their realm. In your film, they obviously went outside of what they were doing.
Because everybody's a part of the movie, and I won't hire people
together?
because I won't hire anybody that's not going to be a part of the
Sam
movie.
Shepard's book suggests that you pulled him up out of the blue, and here's this guy, and he
Well, look it. We might not have used Sam's dialogue, but we used him in the movie.
Yeah, he was obviously a good influence in a way.
Well, he was
He
there.
chose the right person. He was interesting.
Misunderstanding of what Bob meant by writing dialogue.
Yeah, right. Well, Shepard is a great playwright. I just think that in terms of the film, he may have been important for some other reason.
He didn't write the kind of dialogue we needed for the movie. I couldn't connect with him on exactly what we needed. Okay, but that was fine. But we still use him as an actor.
That's right. It's from bands, and he's got a lot of people, and that's a certain sort of thing, right? Yeah. He doesn't know anything about films, really. That's what it comes down to. Right?
See, it's like
He didn't know anything about this film.
I'm
Bob
sure.
is a great film editor. He's very free with film.
Who is?
Bob.
Yeah, I know. How do you do that?
Very free with film and very audacious with it. And when the cameramen were locked in, let's say, they could be sent out to gather images. And if they were locked into some understanding of what the kinds of images or the kinds of possible uses that he might put images to, they could on their own and gather something which would be raw material for him in the cutting room. Shepard, I think, had he done that same thing, and he understood that dialogue didn't mean scenes necessarily. It meant dialogue.
Yeah. He's a theatrical person, though. He's not a film person.
Bob would have made the scenes out of the dialogue.
Yeah, right.
Instead, he was writing that film that you read about in that book, which has no
It was
relationship.
static. No relationship at all, no. I read it while I was coming out of the airport.
He didn't know the film we were making, and he never bothered to find out what film we were making. And he still doesn't know what film we made.
Well, he's a great playwright, but he's not a good film person. Really, that's what it comes down to, right?
He might be or he might not be, but he didn't
Well, he's a
lock in.
talented guy,
He did not
though.
lock in
Yeah.
what
I
the
don't think we need him,
possibilities.
but that was good. That was interesting.
No.
You know,
We didn't need him, but we hired him, and so we used him. I figured, if I hired him and paid him such and such a week, he's going to do something.
I am not. This is not going in my thing because there's no point. You know, what I mean, it's not going to interest anyone. It would hurt him, so there's no point. That I won't put in.
No, but from now on, everyone who works on the films is going to have. They got to do double roles, triple if
Your
possible.
cameraman did.
The cameraman all did, yeah.
Incredible.
It's not that hard to make a film. It's just the union has got it all tied up in this town. You know.
Is this non-union or what?
This film is non-union.
How do you get away with that?
Well, we don't get away with it. We just don't use the union.
Oh, that's all it is?
Yeah. We're not getting
you
it.
use union, you don't make the film.
No, well, you don't make the film unless you go to. If you make the film in Hollywood with Hollywood money, you use the union.
Who put up the money for this film?
Me,
You did?
yeah.
You must be crazy.
No, we were doing the money was coming in the front door and it was going out the back door.
So in other words, you don't get any money from the tour.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
So you put it all in the movie.
yeah.
That was your idea?
That was the
Most
idea.
people make a movie in order to make more money. You make a movie in order to lose your money.
I didn't care about the money. I only wanted to make a
That's what it sounds
film.
like.
Yeah.
I know, but that's why you were able to make this kind of movie now.
He made a movie in order to continue
If you
making
hired,
movies.
if you hired some Hollywood TV producers, you wouldn't get this movie. You'd get something quite different.
Yeah, no, we couldn't do that. We made that mistake once. We went and hired. We did that. You know, you can't hire Hollywood people for anything. If you got any vision at all,
No, I
you
understand.
can't hire
I
them.
understand, but you took a real chance. You're losing money on this.
No, well, money's not a loss, really.
No, I understand,
You know,
but I mean, I'm complimenting you. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
no. All I'm saying is the money came in the front door, at the gate,
that-
and it went right out the back.
I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that most people make films in order to add to the money they've made from the tour.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no.
Like if I stood to make a movie, it would be he's carrying a girl up to the bedroom and then
Right.
tonight's the
Well,
night.
no,
You
we
know what I
wanted to
mean?
make a real movie.
That's the movie.
What's this movie you made? No.
Which I've seen before. Oops, it's all gone. You make a movie, you take the girl out of the bedroom.
Yeah. No, I'm not interested in the money. I hope it makes good. I hope it makes $10,000 million. You know.
Wish you good luck.
But
You're
the
gonna get
tours
bombed
are,
by the critics.
well, the
They're
tours.
just after you, ready to hit you. I could be wrong. Let's hope I'm wrong.
I'm interested in why you
you know,
so strong.
I hope the
Have you
critics
seen the
don't get to it
movie coming
before
out
the
today?
people get to it.
Have you
though.
gone to the movie
Huh?
recently or not?
I don't know.
Well, I hope the people get by the critics. That's all I can say.
I think they will.
Let's
It's
hope
just-
so. Bertolucci's having a hard time with it, and
Well, I
Bertolucci.
get enough. I got music people that follow me. They don't listen to what film critics say.
Okay, word of mouth is very important on this, and you're going to have to get the word of mouth out. That's what's going to happen.
Well, the word of mouth.
It's a great film, but I mean, you're not going to get kids who are interested in.
They're looking for kids. They're looking for kids. They're looking for people who've had enough experience in life who are going to connect with this movie. Hopefully, it'll give them something.
Listen, you're not a filmmaker, but you're in the Eisenstein League. You're not in the
I
Richard Brooks
understand
League.
that.
That's
I
what I'm saying
understand
to
that.
you.
I
And that may
understand.
hurt you.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'll go out and do some more tours and make some more money.
That's right.
You know, and do some more movies.
They'll always schizophrenically split your films from you and your music. They always will. They did it with the document. It'll never hurt you. But still, it's weird.
At what point did they
I feel the
That's
vision.
why for Rolling Stone, I want
I
to
still,
people
I
that go
still
to
think the
film.
vision is strong enough to cut through all that.
Well, I think so,
At what
but
point
I
did
don't have
people
trust in
stop
myself anymore.
thinking of Cott as a poet and thinking of him as a filmmaker? Did they make that separation?
You ask kids from Hollywood, they heard of Cott, never heard of him.
Just really be prepared. I mean, that I think he's right. I think, you know, I mean, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I think Brooklyn is a fantastic film. I did think that, in the back of my mind, that someone's going to slam it. I mean, they're going to slam it.
Well,
For sure.
Tell us about
For
it.
everything someone told us early on in the game. It was just a simple statement. Everything that anybody can say about any movie, they will say about this movie.
Jack Nicholson told us
And it
that.
is the greatest movie ever made. It's the worst
But I do
piece
think
of shit ever.
I think we'll get by. I think we'll get by. It's going to take a long time. It definitely is. I'd say I like
It really is unpredictable because there is nothing being presented to people.
But movies
It is
that people
righteous.
have that they're watching that are better than
So when they
movies
see
that are-
something that's righteous, you have no way of predicting. Will they insist on garbage, or will they, accept something that is, in fact,
I haven't been to a movie in a long time. I've been watching, when I'm in New York, I watch box office. It's usually the movies that they don't show a movie and they do it, and they don't even make it on the airplane. But,
I'll tell you, the thing that is a large variety of people have seen this film. quite a wide spectrum of people.
It is quite a wide
Are you feeling okay, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm knocked out. Listen, I apologize about being
Picked on in this restaurant.
whatever I am. I just really love your stuff, and I'm a total addict of your stuff, but I'm not uncritical. You know, I mean, if I don't like something, I will tell you. I'm not being hypocritical. I'm going to say what I said to you.
I find that
That's all.
appalling that there can be a couple of critics that are going to, knock this movie out.
You don't realize that that's what goes on anymore?
I don't think that's going to happen with this movie because we don't depend on that kind of clientele.
You're naive.
Well, I got faith in the people that we like.
Not going to have a chance, no matter what I like.
I do think we have all come of age. I mean, I do think we are the critics now.
Don't you think, really? I think they're more accurate. They are grown up on Hollywood.
The other test for me was that after sitting 4 hours in the theater, that I thought to myself that I'd be willing to sit some more, to watch more. I wasn't too sure if I liked it or not, but I wanted to see more.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the test to me. I mean, that to me meant to me I liked it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more. So to me,
But the word of mouth scene is not going to work on that level, really.
Why were those other people from Rolling Stone here?
Excuse me?
Why were those other people from Rolling Stone here?
Because you're you.
no, that's not true.
Well, what's the
Paul
reason?
Osman asked.
No, that he promised them that they'd see it. I think that one of the persons there is doing an article on it too. Someone there probably will do an article as well. It's not Rolling Stone, do it for somewhere else. That's what I've heard.
I don't know.
Anyway, right? Well, someone else is doing it for someone else, isn't it?
Yeah. Someone else is doing it for someone else?
Yeah.
Well, obviously. I didn't know about that.
Well, I heard you have a Playboy interview coming in. Is that about this film particularly? Or
Yes, yeah.
has the person seen my double right now? ISIS. I have to ask you about something. Well, yeah, another time. I have all these initials. Look at this, Andy. I can't even read this. BD picking up DB at bar filled with cowboys. Oh, that's right. That was an interesting shot. That I was. You knew I was making notes. Ron Rosenbaum made notes. I hope some of this came out. Let's hope so. When I first saw it, I wonder how long it took me to realize what kind of film this was going to be, but the first few minutes, I realized that you were doing something that was a little more audacious than what most people are taking chances with today. They want to see Diane Keaton being raped by a bunch of weirdos, psychotics, and then being killed with the end. I mean, really, I knew that was going to happen from the first 5 minutes.
What people want to see.
Because unfortunately, what
they
people...
were giving you.
I don't think so anymore. I think what people want to see today is so insidious.
No, but they have no other choice anymore.
But it's infected the way they look at things now. You know, I mean, even friends of mine here who are, interested in poetry and read all sorts of things, when they see Paul Williams on television, last night I was with some friends, and they watched this guy Paul Williams singing some dopey songs, and they thought he was interesting. And these people are brilliant people. I'm not putting you on. Now, Paul Williams to me is sentimental. He's got no voice, and he's an idiot. I shouldn't say that, but to me that's what he is. These people here think that this guy is some kind of reality. That's pathetic. That's a different world from the way it was 10 years ago. Paul Williams, you know who I'm talking about, that TV guy. Who's that small guy with the blonde hair who sings these silly songs and is sentimental. Now, maybe he's a nice guy in person. I don't want to be personal about it, but just objectively, it seems to me that if you look at him and hear him, what has that guy got to say? Nothing. He's a hypocrite, and he's so involved with his own self-image of himself. It's sickening, and I mentioned this last night. There's some billboard thing of rock and roll and songs that are popular, and I was sickened by the whole thing, and these people thought it was interesting. Now, these people I'm talking about are not idiots. They're people who are intelligent, who know Eisenstein, who know film history, who know rock and roll, who know classical music, and they thought he was interesting because he's on TV, therefore he's worthy of attention.
Are you saying then that these people
I'm very cynical
are going
about
to see this film and are not going to be...
You bet I'm saying that, whatever you're saying. Next.
That's all right.
What do you think?
But that's all right.
Except for the Bob Dylan lyrics, they're going to have
No, that's all right.
Intelligent, Eisenstein-oriented.
I happen to relate Eisenstein to your films because I happen to view your films in a cinematic way, and I think.
Yeah, but you're also saying one other thing. You're saying that it's an immediate response. This film is so much of it. It's going to sit on somebody's mind. It's going to broil into their body. And they might think of this.
If they sit through it.
Yeah, if they sit
You're
through
going to have
this
a
film.
walkout in the first half.
Well,
Well, what, you think I'm being cynical or what? You must be kidding.
Real hard.
Who goes to see 4-hour movies anymore? Are you kidding?
I didn't think I get to do it. I really didn't. I told you.
That's true, because you admire Bob Dylan, but you wouldn't have done it if you were a film person.
No.
That's his no relation to walkout.
Kids today who like TV personalities are not going to sit through this film. You must be kidding.
Well, they don't have to. In India, they sit through 8-hour films, 12-hour films.
I've sat through 12 hours of Robert Wilson's, you know? I mean, if it's interesting, I don't care how long it is, but time is relevant to these kids. And to them, time means a disco number, another disco number, another disco number, and maybe some sentimental crap. I'm sorry to be cynical. I shouldn't say that because I should be more unelitist, but I don't believe it anymore. I think that things have changed radically. I think that people, even on high echelons, watch movies that are garbage and say, that's interesting, and I don't think they're interesting.
Well, that's the downfall of America then.
I think people want to be entertained.
Well, you haven't made too many movies. That's one of the problems aside from everything, huh?
I think people want to be entertained more than they want to have.
Look, the thing is that how many people know you from Desire and know you from before Desire? What do you think their average is?
I don't know.
Average Desire sold a lot of records, didn't it?
Well, 1.5.
Didn't it sell more than any other record or not?
Yeah, I think it has.
Yeah. Do you think it had
1.5.
anything to do with you, or do you think it had something to do with the record and coming out at the time it did?
I don't really know.
I think it had something to do with the latter.
I don't know. I'm
I
not
don't
in
think
that.
Desire had anything to do with the people liking it or not liking it. Had anything to do with anything except that it was the 70s. Planet Waves. How well did that do? That's a better record. Desire is great, but Planet Waves is going to live longer. Planet Waves is a much more subtle and incredible album. Desire is great. All your stuff is great. But Planet Waves was really, really subtle. And it lasts. I've listened to it recently, and I've realized it's one of the deepest records you made. I thought Blood on the Tracks was the best, in my opinion. But Planet Waves has all the seeds of Blood on the Tracks. You know what I mean? And I just think people don't judge things that way. They judge things on fad, and I don't know. I don't know what they judge things on. What do you think? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even.
You never
care.
worried about it, did you?
No.
I mean, did Subterranean Hoots and Blues and that period do well or not?
Yeah, they do okay.
They do?
Yeah.
Thank God
They're
there's
still in the
justice in the
catalog.
world. I know they haven't. This computer hasn't knocked you out yet, has
No.
it?
All those records are still in the stores.
But you're obviously a major filmmaker now in a way that a tradition that. But don't you agree that your filmmaking is not traditional filmmaking in the terms of the 70s? That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't think so.
You think it's traditional?
As far as I know, everybody makes films like this.
You're putting me on, aren't you?
Not
You
really.
think that Julia was like this, or that Star Wars was like this?
Or Star Wars.
To catch up on some of the recent
No,
movies.
I don't know what other people are doing. I assume they're doing the same thing as what we're doing.
I could be wrong. Let's hope I'm wrong. I'm playing devil's advocate right now, okay? I
yeah.
hope that you're right, because I feel the way you feel about your film, but I've seen, unfortunately, too many movies recently, and I don't see big improvement. Your film is a definite shock. Definitely, like Eisenstein said, it's a shock.
If Buñuel likes it, that's okay then.
How can you get him to see it?
I don't know, but if Buñuel likes it, then it's a success.
Can I show you this quote that he had? Two quotes that I knew when I was on the airplane was about your movie, and it was exact. I knew that you were open to it. I knew what Buñuel said was about your film. I knew it. I wrote it down, but I didn't write it down here. Buñuel's lasted longer than you have, in spite of the fads and the fashions, right?
Right. And not so many people go see his movies.
That's true. And he's a genius, really.
That's right.
But what films of his did you really like, though?
I like his early films.
His early ones. By early, what do you mean? Like Luciano Lou, or do you mean like Luciano? Or the Street Charms of the Bourgeoisie?
No, earlier than that.
You mean like the film he made in Spain about poverty people and L'Age d'Or?
What was the name of that? L.
How about
Did you see
Los
L?
Olvidados? Sure, I've seen everything. How about Los Olvidados? About the juvenile delinquents in Mexico? When you were interviewing those people in Harlem, it reminded me of that. That one guy with no teeth. That was shocking. I mean, even in the context of that guy said, "You're white." Who was interviewing him? Was it a black person or a white person? whoever it was, he said, it sounded like a white person because he said, you're responsible because you're white. That was shocking, really.
He did not say that.
Huh?
He didn't say that.
He didn't say that?
He said you all are responsible.
You're all responsible. Well, that's right, but the people watching it who are going to be white, he's directing to them too. It was very profound. Did you think? It was typical on-the-spot interview scene, you know, that CBS News does every night. How do you feel about Hurricane Carter?
Should we go over and take some pictures? Let's do that.
Okay. That was incredible. Those two guys pick up these women and seduce them. And
Yeah, because that painting, that Renoir painting, is more real and will live into an infinity, more so than the actual event. The actual event was sub-zero.
You're talking about the Renoir painting, the Renoir movie?
The Renoir painting.
No, because there's a Renoir movie by itself.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you're talking about the painting.
Yeah. But movies are new. Painting has existed for how long? Since there have been paints. Since the year one, and they didn't even develop it until the 19th century. People really didn't get into the capturing the moment, or to
I see what you're driving at. That's what you mean by the grace of illusion.
Yeah.
Art.
Right, art. And art is it's inspirational. Not too many things in this life are inspirational. Art, the highest point of that art, the highest thing art can do to anybody is inspire them. That's it. I mean, what else can you do? What else can you do for anybody but inspire them? You know what I mean?
So if you inspire someone, no matter what form, you're an artist. It's an art thing. That's what you believe.
Yeah.
The illusion thing has to do with something else. There was another thing that one of these rabbis said. I was going to see these guys. You know, one of them said, you can learn something from everything. And he said, you can learn something from a train, a telephone, and a telegram. And this disciple said, I don't believe it. What can you learn from a train? And the rabbi said, from a train you can learn that in 1 second you can miss everything. He said, from a telephone you can learn that what you say over here is heard over there. And from a telegram, you can learn that all words are counted and charged. And that to me is a definition of allusion.
That's pretty, where do you get all these rabbi sayings? I
know, because I'm not really into that much, but I studied with a Hasidic rabbi briefly, and I started reading some of this stuff, and I used that as an epigram for a book I wrote to warn me against using words too loosely or freely. But that's an incredible statement, isn't it?
It isn't. It's a cosmic statement. It's like, yeah, those guys are really wise. I tell you, I've heard gurus and yogis and philosophers and politicians and doctors, lawyers, and teachers of all kinds. And these rabbis really had something going.
Well, they had the wisdom and the heart. I mean, they weren't just like Sufis who are pretty incredible. They also had this emotion. But you don't go for the emotional thing. I don't know.
No, I don't. I don't believe in emotion.
And yet the heart thing that they have is emotion, isn't it? Or what?
No, it's reason.
That's reason.
They use their heart. Their heart doesn't use them.
I see what you mean now. Well, how about that? In 1 minute, second, you can miss everything on a train.
That's a fantastic statement.
I don't know what it means exactly. Does it mean missing a train, or does it mean when you're watching out the window, or both?
Exactly. I think one moment you can miss everything because you're not there. You just watch it, you know you're missing it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What about when you telephone, what you say here is heard over there? Now that has to do with not illusion.
No, but that's pretty.
It has to do with reincarnation on a galactic level.
That means the ultimate God is that means you're never that far away from the ultimate God.
And what about the words? All words are counted and charged.
Yeah, that's very heavy too. That's everything you say and think is all being added up.
How are you coming out?
I don't come out. I'll tell you, lately I've been catching myself. I've been in some scenes and I say, holy shit, I'm not here alone. I know that. I've never had that experience, but for the past few months, I have had that experience where I say, well, I'm all alone now, And I've usually felt a strange, eerie feeling that I wasn't all alone. And I better shape up.
Do you watch what you say, or what?
I always try to watch what I say, because I try not to say anything I don't mean. And if I'm...
Maybe that's when Ronaldo had that problem being in the movie.
No, Ronaldo's on top of it.
He's on top of it.
Yeah, Ronaldo's not going to say too much. That's why he's not... See, Ronaldo... Now me, obviously, I'm talking and saying things, and I will. talk and say things, but that's because I think I'm going to mean them. Or I feel I mean them now. I'm not just talking to hear myself. But Ronaldo, at the time, being in the film, he was at that point. He was not saying anything because he knew that what he said was going to be heard, so he didn't know what to say. But he said some very incredible, important things. But when he's confronted with his allusion, he does say, "Do I love her like I love you? No. Do I love you? Do I love her like I love you? No. Do I love you like I love you? No." He can't say any more than that. That's it. You don't have to know anything more about him than that. That's all you have to know about him, Bob Dylan.
What comes in after that, by the way? It's a song, isn't it?
Catfish.
That's what I mean. Something very profound, and then the Catfish guy, who was also profound, but it's treated in a more jokey way.
Yeah, that's treated more in the way of the instruments. Music. Getting back to that, music is truthful. And music is truthful. Because, music is truthful. Everything's okay. You put on some, listen to some music, somebody's playing an instrument, that changes the vibe. It brings, music attracts the angels in the cosmos. Just the angels are attracted to that. And there's a bunch of people sitting at a table, and, they're going to be attracted to the music. So we always get back to the music in the film. We've been able to do that, and we made a point of doing it in this movie. We have to do it. You're not going to see music in the rest of the movies like you see it in this film, or in the document.
Use music in an incredible way. It's brand new.
Right. I don't think. Yeah.
It's not used as filler. It's another level of consciousness. To me, the music and the rest of the film is another level of consciousness on top of that. I think they work on different levels.
We don't have any filler. You don't see anybody. You don't see any doors closed or any reverse shots which are just there to take up time until you get to the next one. Every single shot, if it's not connected to these two, it's in here and it's connected to that.
I know.
We don't have time.
Shots.
4 hours of film, I mean, we had a lot of information to get across. We couldn't use shots that didn't mean anything because they were going to take time away from other shots.
That's why the film's so compressed.
A lot of hold shots. When she's walking down the street with that rope, that's a long hold shot. Blue is on one shot for 6 minutes.
The whole
first time you see him.
That
one
was
shot.
6 minutes?
No cut. 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you find out Godard did a lot of that.
Oh yeah, I love that. I know this film is too long. I've heard of people saying, sure it's too long, but maybe 4 hours too long. Possibly. I don't care. For me, it's not long enough. It could have been much longer. I'm not concerned with how long something is. I want to see a set shot. I want to see that. I relate to it.
A set shot.
I feel a set shot, yeah. I don't feel all this motion, this boom, boom, all these fast we can fast cut when we want, but the power comes in the ability to have faith that it is a meaningful shot.
You ever seen any films with this Japanese director named Ozu who used to shoot everything from?
I did. You know who was under that? Warhol. Warhol did a lot for American cinema.
Important.
Like Warhol was a very important movie maker. He was a little bit before his time. But Warhol and Hitchcock, Peckinpah, and Todd Browning were like...
What about Godard and those people, the French guy? Did you like them or not so much?
I figured Godard had the accessibility to make what he made, and he broke new ground. I never saw any film like Breathless, But once you saw Breathless, you said, "Oh yeah, man! Like, why didn't I do that? I could have done that. Okay, he did it, but he couldn't have done it in America."
Well, they had done in America, really. Some of Sam Fuller's films, some of those so-called B films, were pretty incredible.
Sam Fuller films.
40 Guns. Did you ever see that? He made it in like 3 weeks or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Incredible movie, really.
I just heard his name the other day, Sam Fuller. He's around.
He made him great movies.
Yeah. He's
around.
around.
Put him down as a, second-rate filmmaker. It's not true.
No.
Genius guy,
yeah.
really.
Look, America has... I think American filmmakers are great. I think they're the best. Like Hitchcock movies. I mean, when you go see a Hitchcock movie, it's going to be... you're in for it, But Kurosawa movies are also great. personally, my personal taste, my favorite filmmaker is Buñuel. And it doesn't surprise me that he would say what he said.
It sounded like you talking a little bit,
Yeah.
quite honestly. I mean, when you talked about the artist as sort of Zatu, you know what I mean? He's a much more interesting way of putting it, but that is incredible.
I don't know what to tell you. In one way, I don't consider myself a filmmaker at all. In another way, I do. You know, so.
This is your second film, isn't it? Or have you made a lot of smaller films?
Well, I don't consider it a document my film because we didn't shoot it.
So this is your first.
This is the first film. Yeah.
Or that you stand by or something.
Right. Now I have to get back to playing music because there ain't no film's going to come out of playing music. So that's when I have to get back to doing that.
The music's for what reason?
Unless I play music, I don't really feel alive. I mean, I don't feel like I could be a filmmaker all the time.
Yeah, right.
You know? I have to play in front of the people. I got to do that, you know, in order to just keep going.
Well, I'm hoping to hear a tape of the new stuff. You're going to bring that to cassette or something. But I won't write about it. I mean,
I don't know when we're going to get it done.
Whenever.
It'll be done at least by March.
Let's get a whole bunch of people to write about it, not just one.
No, I don't want a whole bunch of people to write about it. I would. You don't even have to write about it. I wanted you to write about it because I know you would say something interesting on the back, so that whoever was going to review it would look at the back and say and see what it was. Because they're not in this day and age. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on. You know?
Hamilton didn't help things really.
Well,
they were nice, but they didn't help it.
Pete didn't go as deep. I guess he was into his. He was too much on his own trip. I think Pete's a great observer. But see, I assumed he would be able to. There wasn't enough for him to observe. He couldn't. I was asking him to go too deep. He's an observer of superficial life. You know, that's where he's at. His best. I mean, he used to write great stories when he was working on the Post.
The Post, yeah.
Years ago, before.
I call on. Remember that stuff he's written?
He did on 42nd Street, stuff like that.
I know.
Great stuff. And I always remembered him from the old days before he. I don't know what he's doing now.
Well, everything changes. Ginsberg has a line in the film too. It's beautiful about coming change. Near the end of the film, remember?
Everything
Patterson.
Everything that comes is gone forever. Everything that comes is gone forever every time.
Remember that one? That's a very beautiful ending. That dance sequence with those guys.
How do you like Claudia, that girl that's dancing with Ginsberg with the skirt?
Yeah. And the film shot from her sort of derriere, you know?
Yeah.
That was very beautiful. What was that piano? Some Schumann thing or something? Or what?
I don't know what tune it was. Yeah.
Little Moses. When did you learn that song, by the way?
Oh, I used to sing that song when I played at Gertie's.
What are the lyrics for that? You couldn't make them out. I know the
song.
song, but I mean, I couldn't make out what the lyrics were.
Well, only one verse came. Away by the water so wide, the ladies were winding their way.
The ladies were what?
The ladies were winding their way. When Pharaoh's little daughter stepped down in the water to bathe in the cool of the day. And before it got dark, she opened the ark and saw the sweet infant so gay.
So gay?
I think it's sweet infant. Something like that.
Yeah. What happened then? They got together, huh?
No, the little Moses grows up. He leads the Jews. He slays the Egyptian. It's a great song. And I thought it fit pretty well into the movie.
Yeah, not bad, huh?
Yeah.
And there was a Hank Williams song you sing right at the beginning.
Elijah.
That's
Was a wooden Indian.
Yeah.
Standing by the door. Fell in love with an Indian maid over in the antique store. Elijah. That poor old wooden head. And then one day a wealthy customer bought the Indian maid. He took her oh so far away, but old Elijah stayed. Yeah, Hank Williams. Everybody's in this film. Hank Williams, Woody Guthrie.
I know Woody Guthrie is. Carter family.
Carter family. Al Frazier.
Chopin.
Chopin.
Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. You've got Beethoven. I thought one day I was listening to late Beethoven quartets, and when Beethoven modulates near the end of his life, from one thing to another, it's like he literally puts you on another level of consciousness. And I felt it in this movie. I'm not saying I'm not going to use this, but I don't know. It's fair enough. I thought the way he did music in this film was the same thing. He went from one. Every time he showed something, he puts you on another level of consciousness.
Who is going to understand this film? Where are the people in America to understand this
See
film?
it twice, they will.
Think so?
I sort of got the inkling in the first time. The second time it was very clear. Because you don't strain the second time. You kind of just let it. If I can understand it, a lot of people can understand it. There's nothing special about me, and I don't even understand it as much as you do, or Howard does, or a lot of other people. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, I think maybe.
How many people understand Visions of Joanna, or understand Sad Lady of Lowlands, actually, when you think about it?
I don't know.
I mean, that's a fair question. I mentioned Sad Lady of Lowlands as being, to me, an image of how to create something in the world. But maybe other people just hear it as a trance, or I don't know. Dawn Byers things are very beautifully, I think. That's one thing that's very respectful of it. She doesn't try to poke it up.
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't try to do it with some of your other songs, but she doesn't do it with the ballads.
Like my songs are really written for mechanics. Guys who work, guys who work on cars all day. And just wonder what else is going on. They're written for like sheep herders who are just out there. Garbage men.
Well, you're more like a sheep herder, and you're like a gossip figure. I mean, people don't remember Shakespeare and Dante as, what the newspapers wrote about them.
That's right.
Do they?
No.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Nowadays, everyone wants to know what's happening to everybody, but
No, an artist is remembered by his work.
don't you think?
Yeah. Sure, if I didn't think that, I wouldn't be doing it.
Also, when people see sheep herders, it's much more impressive seeing a sheep herder than seeing someone on the Johnny Carson show, it seems to me. I'm not trying to be over-sophisticated about it, but I think everyone feels the same way. Maybe if I were a sheep herder, I'd feel differently. I don't know.
Paul asked me if I'd go on the Johnny Carson show. I think Paul asked me. Somebody was.
Johnny Carson show?
Yeah, when the movie came out. I mean, what would I do? I mean, what would I do on a Johnny Carson show?
They asked you to talk about the old times. Anyway, what's the point?
It's outrageous, isn't it? Yeah, what would be the
Why
point?
don't you just do a couple of local programs? You don't need to.
I don't want to do any. I'm going to go after this interview with you. I got one more with Barbara Kerr. She's going to do.
She's nice, I think. I met her today.
She's very smart too.
Yeah, she's very nice, actually.
And that's all. That's all.
Well, you maybe should do one of the New Yorkers.
Yeah, I think Paul wanted to. He wanted to do one for the New Yorker or the New York Times.
Well, I don't know.
I
It's
don't
very
know.
different. The New York Times is more your audience. The New Yorker is great.
I finally feel in the position of somebody who's, you want an interview, they fly you into town. They put you up at a hotel.
They fly you into town.
Yeah. I'm finally in that position now. Yeah, they fly you into town, pay all your expenses. They give you a tour of the city.
You're not getting too much from me and Rolling Stone, are you? A couple of dinners.
Oh no, that's funny. No, I would pay this. No. I know that you find the film interesting and
Interesting. I'm not flattering you. What for?
Well,
It's an honor meeting you, I have to tell you, but if the film, didn't get to me, I mean,
you would
know
tell
it.
me.
Well,
You would tell me.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to pull it off because I don't lie too well.
No, I'm glad I got to meet you, and I'm glad I got to meet Ron Rosenbaum too. I never meet people,
In those days, you used to get people who were just nasty to you
That's true.
and resentful.
Yeah.
That comes out in the interview, so that's not as good as, maybe it comes down to the same thing though, I don't know. Maybe the people who like your stuff too are not so much better, but the people who are nasty to you is what you need it for.
That's right. Should we go out here?
Yeah, if someone comes up and says that, what do you need to talk to them for? I mean, it's interesting maybe, but their minds are made up. I just have to put it I wish you luck with your career. It is nice. I need to see from you. I'm going to link you this Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how much to leave you. I'm going to leave it 64. That's, let me see, that's 60, right? Is that enough for you? 65. Could you just put down 65 here, though? Is that enough, or is that not enough for you? No, really, tell me. Is that right or not? Oh, what's that? Oh, good. It goes in the cheap. That doesn't do much of it. If you just put 65 here. 65 would be nice. Yeah. A lot of work on it. I think you can do well. Yeah, thanks again.
Oh, come on.
I don't know where I am.
Shit.
Here's nice to in New York.
Here's good out here, yeah. But there's nobody doing anything, you know? That's the only problem. Yeah. You have to make it before you come out here. People go crazy out here.
That's what I heard. Careful out here. So I'll say, New York, well, anything in New York, okay. In New York now, this is pleasant too.
Yeah. But there's other expansions in New York, and you just go out and forget about it.
I'm curious. I went to a place, did I tell you I picked up some stuff in the morning when I first came here? There's a red team place and people came there. Yeah, I mentioned that. I maybe I didn't. And his family came in at 8 o'clock and went for breakfast. They bought Coca-Cola, fudge sundae. It was just the same team. I took the morning in LA. I couldn't believe it. Drag queen, pinball guys. Except for the local, lunch call. You have to head up north or you stay in the city? Oh, I'm not. I'm just going to hope you can drive, but you're not too drunk or anything, no? No. All right. I'm fine back there. I think I have enough stuff to do. Yeah. So what I should do is,
transcribe it.
yeah, that's going to take me a
You're not
while.
going to give it to them to transcribe.
I'm going to do it myself. That's taking me a while.
Why don't I call you on Friday?
Yeah, and if it's not ready, what I'm going to have to do is read you what I have, some of the stuff to check. Just quickly, I won't read you everything, but the stuff I think maybe you want to hear. Just to give you a sense of it to you, right? And you may have to call me in New York, I'll have to call you.
Okay.
Next week if I'm back. I'll just have to let you know then.
Whatever you do, don't give it all to somebody else.
I tried it already, and I just had to do it myself because it didn't work. They couldn't believe what came out. I mean, they didn't understand what I'm saying, and also I have to change things around sometimes to make you say what you really meant. You know, sometimes you say something on the tape, it comes out. You put it down in print, it comes out negative when you meant positive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You give them a punctuation or something. So. No, I promise I'll take care of that. It's just going to take a while. I have to tell Jan to just give me a little more time. He can't just rush it in.
I'll get together with Annie.
Yeah, well, she's good. Yeah, she's really good. You get on with her okay, don't you, and everything?
Yeah, I think Annie's great.
And I hope I wasn't too obstreperous with you or anything.
No,
I'm not
no.
trying to be apologetic. I just know that you're
Not at all. I
full
just
of
hope,
energy and time for yourself that you need, and I do appreciate the time you've given me.
I just hope that I don't make come across like some kind of imbecile.
No, well, the stuff we did tonight really helps out a lot. You don't worry about that, do you?
No, I don't. But I'd like, I don't want to waste an opportunity.
No, well, the main thing is about the film, and that I probably won't be able to reach until I get to New York. You probably just have to wait to see it, but I'll just tell you that I love the movie, and I'll do the best to represent it as fairly as I can. I need the credits, and Paul Wassman said he'd get them for me,
Right.
so I can spell people's names right.
Where do we go?
Oh, is this it? This is it.
That's it right here?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. I didn't know where we were. You're going to be okay? Yeah, this is it. You're going to be okay from here, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you'll speak to me Friday, right?
I'll call you here.
Yeah, if I'm not here, so what shall I do?
Call me tomorrow. Why don't I call you tomorrow?
All right, but I don't have a number for you, really, so...
Well, you got Howard's number.
Shall I call
I'll
him?
give you another number. I'll give you two numbers.
Well, I don't want to bother you at home or wherever you are.
I won't be home anyway.
Oh, I see.
But, I'll either call there to see who you called, or I'll call Howard.
This is a weird hotel. I don't know what I'm doing here, but they don't take messages. Sometimes they do. They do take messages.
Okay, you got a number on me. It's 457.
Yeah.
3611.
Yeah.
And then you got the other one, 457-3590.
3590?
Yeah.
Which one do you want to call first?
Call Howard's first.
This one first.
Yeah. And I'll call you tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon here. And
Great.
something like that.
I'll let you know what's happening. At least the Rolling Stones. I hope it's not rushed out. Andy won't be too happy about it.
All right.
Great seeing you.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'll speak to you tomorrow on Friday. And if I need to, can I speak to you in New York just to go over last minute things? Okay. Bye. Have a good night. Two, three, one, please. No, I don't. There was no call. Okay, thank you. Is Annie in here now? Yeah, right.
You said 5:45 minutes. I just hope, they haven't started another one, so we can keep it back up.
Thank you. What time is it now, by the way? Right, thanks a lot.
Start.
She just was yelling that at you. Don't you think that's incredible? You think you go to a provincial place, so-called provincial, and there's this girl saying something like that. Really, I was amazed. There was, yeah. It's a strange atmosphere, and you think somewhere? I don't know. But so. Well, I got all these notes to ask you, but I don't know how you want to work it out.
Well, we can work it out on the plane.
Shall we do that? Okay. Don't get worried about all this stuff. I just make notes to myself. All those bad reviews you've been getting from the nasty American press people, I mean, it's really bizarre, don't you think? I mean, I can't figure it out. I've had arguments with these people. They just seem to have a psychological problem there, don't you think?
Yeah,
There's some kind of psychological thing. It's not even objective anymore.
Well, they don't understand my work. You know, that's it. It's, you know, I don't know any of these people. I don't know who they are. I don't think they know any people I know. I don't think they travel in the same crowd anyway. So, I mean, it'd be like me criticizing Khrushchev, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting it from all these people who seem to worship you in the 60s, and now they're really letting an edible thing have it, or I don't know. It's bizarre. I was reading some of these reviews, and they're all very nasty. They don't say anything about the, you know.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't bother me, and they don't bother nobody else.
You get upset when you read this stuff, though, because it is personally directed. It's not even so-called objective, you know.
Well, you know, people are always going to have friends, and they're always going to have enemies. And what difference does it make? You know,
Yeah, I think we should let off the negative stuff, maybe, you know? I want to talk to you positive about the record and some of the songs, but I don't know when you might want to do that. This is the whole bus? No one else is coming on?
we have room for half the town. Huh?
Yeah. Should I not bother you on the bus ride? Should we wait till we get on the plane?
No, if you got something to ask me, why don't you just...
Should I start a little bit now? You mind if I ask you something about the record? Can I ask you about changing the guards?
Yeah.
I don't know if anything's going to come out. Probably this music, but who's singing anyway?
Ray Charles and Ray Letts.
Oh yeah. And the Raylets are getting up and dancing too. How about changing the guards? I wrote
I think that's Carolyn's mom.
It is?
Carolyn's mom is Ray Lett.
Was she really? I want to ask you about changing the guards, like, you know, you have to think about Palace of Mirrors, and after listening to the song a bit, I thought of the song as like a Palace of Mirrors where each image is on a different floor of the palace. I wanted to know whether that's kind of a weird formulation, but do you know what I mean a little bit?
Say that again.
The song is sort of, in a way, to me, like a Palace of Mirrors in which each image, or whatever situation in it, you know, scene, is like on a different floor of this palace, different level of awareness, and different floor lit, you know. Do you think that may be the case? Because I've listened to it a lot, and there are all these incredible things happening, and the relationships are very, sometimes disconnected, sometimes not. Now, I thought it was like part ghost story, part dream, and tarot card story, because I happen to, maybe I'm not getting anywhere by asking this kind of question. I don't want to eliminate everything, but I checked some of the images out in the tarot cards.
Yeah.
Not that you were conscious about it, you know, but like the moon image, right, with Isis and all that. And I just checked to look at what all these things represent, so to speak, you know, like deception and dishonesty and ulterior motives and double dealing. That's like the moon. So you have a code going on throughout the song to me. Now let me just continue a little bit. High Priestess, the Palace of Mirrors, right? Sort of wisdom, knowledge, but also impatience. Then you have the locks, the beautiful blonde locks, which is sort of like the sun. And that sort of represents satisfaction, accomplishment, contentment, success, simple pleasures, favorable omens, and so on. Then you have the King and Queen of Swords, and the King is active and determined and analytic and superior and with many thoughts, and the Queen is quick-witted and sharp, but also a woman of sadness and separation and one who has sorrowed. And Peace is the Ten of Cups, which represents home and family life, and the Wheels of Fire is like the Fortune card, which is destiny and fate. And then there's the Tower card, which is disaster, impending, abandonment of past relationships, severance of friendship, loss of love, changing of opinions. You know, and I'm not going to go into this heavily, but you know, it's like sort of a subcode for the song
Yeah.
Do you think in a certain sense that those are the themes a little bit of like some of the songs, of that song? I don't want to pinpoint it, but you know what I mean? There seems to be like subconscious images that are used to awake other people's subconsciousnesses. Whether it's exact or not exact. I don't know if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't think you have to know that these things represent that or anything, but it seems to have that force that the tarot deck has anyway without you necessarily knowing it. I'm really coming on too heavy on this, aren't I?
I think you might be in areas that I'm not too familiar with.
Oh, I just checked with friends of mine about the tarot deck and asked them what these sort of the cards represented, you know, that were in this song, you know? And they told me sort of that was the, some of the images that come. Well, the King and Queen of Swords is out of the tarot, but I don't know unless, I mean, let me forget about the detail then. I mean, these three songs, you know what I mean, the three dream songs, I get a feeling like, I'm not getting too far with you here. We better talk this over in True Love Tends to Forget are like really serious songs, but like they deal with really difficult and painful things in a kind of solar way, you know what I mean? Like the sun, like in a daytime way. You know the way Shakespeare uses Shakespeare uses comic scenes in order to really deal with the serious stuff as a mirror of the tragic stuff, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And the other songs are like the night songs, where in your dream you really make connections and are very deep, and the daytime songs are where you try to explain yourself, you know what I mean? That's the way I felt about sort of the split in the record, a little bit. Not a split, but you know what I mean? I'm not really getting, I'm just not asking you questions here.
No, not really.
Shall I be a little more focused?
No, that's all right. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I love these songs so much. I got into them with all this detailed stuff, you know. Or can I just say start off with 16 years?
Right. Why does it start with 16 years?
Well, you've been on the road for about 16 years, sort of, you know. And concertizing, it has nothing to do with that.
Maybe so, but I'll probably be singing that song in 6-7 years from now. By that time, I've been on the road for
so 16 years doesn't mean anything that way.
It doesn't mean I've been on the road for 16 years. No.
No. All right.
16 years is too short of 18 years. 18 years is a magical amount of years to put in time.
It is 18 is.
Oh, you knew that, didn't you?
Through the Kabbalah, you mean, or what?
I don't know. 18 is kind of magic. I've found that threes are
Threes
come in threes. Comes 7 is a real. Seven is a very. Seven is a number, I don't know, things come up in 7. But what am I saying?
The magical number? Well, 16 is 1 and 6, which equals 7 too, you know. Which is the way the Kabbalists do it. They add up numbers.
But then 9 equals 3 and 6.
Yeah, it does.
Right? So, and then if you get 10, that's 2 and 8. You know, so, figure that one out.
All right.
16 years, that's just 3 plus 5 plus 6.
Yeah, it is. So wait a minute. 3 plus 5 plus 6 is 18. No, 14. Wait a minute. We don't have anything to add.
Plus 4 minus 2. Then you got 18.
Minus 0 equals over what?
See, it's like love minus 0.
Yeah.
It's in the same. It's I wouldn't say it's in this same general area, but the feeling is that is about this, pretty much the same.
Boy, I'm going to come back and print with the 16 talk, and they're really going to be interested in this.
Shit,
I was doing stuff about the tarot deck.
in anything anyway. They just sell papers at magazine. I mean, they had the nerve to write the reviews that they did on this record. I mean, why should he be even giving this interview? Beyond me,
You're going to punch me out of take
No,
that
no, I know it's your interview. It's okay, but if you'd be doing it for another magazine, it'd be okay too.
So you're suggesting I go somewhere else?
Yeah. Business Weekly. Business Weekly or you know.
Well, Business
Have you
Weekly,
ever
you know
tried-
the
have you
questions
ever
they'd ask
tried
you in
written-
Business Weekly.
No, have you ever tried written? No, but at least I don't know what they'd ask me really. Look at all these picket fences,
I know, it's nice, no?
these pine trees.
You like it up around here?
I've always gone through this area rather quickly.
Well, I mean New England,
Had a
even,
chance.
anywhere in New England.
Yeah, New England Falls always brings something out of me that I never knew was there.
Did you ever ride up in New England
Yeah,
during
look
this
at those
whole
little
time?
kids playing by the train track.
Oh,
It
yeah.
reminds me of myself.
Did you used to do that?
Yeah.
Did you ever play dead and stuff with the tracks and all that?
You mean lay down in front of the tracks? No, I never did that. I had a friend who did it, but at least I thought he was my friend.
What happened to him?
Well, after he did that, he wasn't.
What, you mean like lining the tracks? Well, he just did it to himself, no?
He did it.
Well,
I'm not sure who he did it for.
No.
I can't even remember his name, actually. You gotta describe this countryside a little bit, Jonathan, in this interview. Like, describe it. Yeah.
I mean, this little pond here?
It's real special, you know?
What is this? Forest City, what is this place?
This is the Baptist Church.
Stroudwater Baptist Church.
Stroudwater Baptist Church. And we just turned the corner by the Stroudwater Baptist Church, and we're heading on down. I'll tell you in a minute. What do you call this kind of architecture?
It's just like New England,
Hey, look at them ducks over there.
oh, isn't that great? You were right, I should pay attention. A little waterfall, too. Maybe I'll move up here.
This is Garrison Street. We just passed Garrison Street. Probably never will ever again.
You're never going to come back here? I bet you we do.
Oh, I bet we'd come back.
Clothes on the line. I don't see that in New York. Little well.
You don't see this in New York.
No, you don't. And the leaves are really starting to turn.
Well, this may be our last chance to talk, Jonathan. I hope we got it down right this time. No, really.
You're deep and mysterious. You know if I put that in, that the people are going to pick on you.
Hey, have they ever not picked on me?
I guess it
They
doesn't matter
started
what you
picking
say.
on me when Izzy Young put me on at Carnegie Hall back.
Is he young?
Yeah, the folklorist.
So he picks on you what?
Yeah,
When he got
I mean,
the concert
I've always
minister
had
before
people,
then?
I've always had fans and non-fans.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people who don't pick on you too.
Well, those are my fans.
I know.
I mean, obviously, I must appeal to somebody.
Millions, no. Look, I found this card. Listening to the record, I thought of this. Osiris weighing the heart.
That's
Isn't
right.
that incredible? Look at this. Weighing the heart before Osiris. That's what you do when you go on stage, huh? And there are your fans. And look at this one I found too in the museum. Nebuchadnezzar's Dream. That's sort of beautiful, don't you think? I don't know what it means. Like one of your songs, no one really knows what it means, but it's sure beautiful.
I never realized before how much Joe Cocker really sounded like Ray Charles.
You didn't realize that?
Well, I knew he.
Bruce Springsteen does a little bit too. All these guys do. What's Van Morrison? Those guys sort of have a certain kind of deep timbre. Although you had a beautiful bass last night at one in Tangled Up in Blue. Your voice has got more range now than it used to.
Yeah, I don't particularly have
That kind of voice.
that type of
No, I know. There are a lot of black vocal phrasings that you use now in a lot of your songs. Like I know some of the chorus of Forever Young and a lot of other songs too. Some it sounds like little Anthony Girls a little bit, little Smokey Robinson. Are you aware of that a little bit? That you tour sort of? your voice become a little soulful, like that?
Well,
You know what I'm talking about when you do.
I'm unaware of anything.
You're not unaware of anything.
I'm not aware of anything like that. But I mean, that happens because your environment changes.
Oh yeah.
When your environment changes, you change.
I mean, chameleons, like chameleons.
Yeah, you have to go on. You get new friends, meet new people, and turn around one day, there's a whole new
Cast of characters.
You're in a whole different cast of characters. You're on a different stage.
What? Yeah. I bet maybe better wait to ask the question until I get on the plane, or you're not going to see me on the plane.
I don't know what's happening here.
How am I going to do an interview for this thing? Maybe someone else should come up, a different cast, maybe a different character to come up and do this and ask you a different kind of question.
Yeah, someone who's not so knowledgeable. No, seriously. You're too knowledgeable. You know too much.
No, I don't. Just listening to the record a lot. Haven't even gone into Where You Tonight and No Time to Think, which are two great songs. They're more than great songs. They're like.
Well, time will show whether they're great songs.
Oh, you can always tell when they're great, can't you? Really?
Yeah, you can, but time just. Time will prove it. What's great, what's not great.
When I was looking at some of the stuff, I was thinking about all these things like loneliness, tenderness, memory, and all these things, And one day I realized
they were in there.
No. You want to put that in? Pregnancy?
I thought it was.
Why do you want that in there?
It wasn't in there?
No. You don't even sing it. Well, maybe you sing it, but I didn't hear it. But I was just thinking about all these things that the concepts that, they imprison everybody, and that also is supposed to be freeing, but they...
Well, I'm just talking about, yeah, right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
What do I think?
About those things? Because they think to work together, they dissolve into each other, and then they also...
I never have any time to think.
I knew you were going to say something like that. All right. What you do in Europe and here? I heard sort of a story that you threw darts. But that was a joke to put someone at the list of the songs.
Oh no!
And she told this French guy.
It's pretty. No.
That's just a joke. That was a funny story.
Arthur, the head road manager, and I usually go over the set before the show. And.
But the order is pretty much the same as it was in Europe. Well, no, they're different things actually, but...
There are a lot of different things.
They're actually...
It's a different
That's I'm Ready, by the way. Is that a song by you or someone else? Oh, be stupid.
No, I just put that together.
Is that a song by you or something?
It's Fragments.
Fragments. I'm Ready for You, I Hope You're Ready for Me. It's different. You used to sing You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine. Now it's I'm Ready for You.
Well, that's an old Muddy Waters tune, but he didn't do it that way, and I don't think he used that particular type of... I don't think it... I'm not sure. It's just in the back of my head. I heard it somewhere.
It's a nice way to begin it. I like that. What about You Treat Me Like a Stepchild? Is that someone by you, or is that an old R&B song?
I wrote that.
Is that a recent one?
Pretty recent.
Yeah, it was great. Real Highway 61 style, too, it feels like. Your voice was good in that. Going, Going, Gone, you changed the words completely.
No, it's the same way we always
Is it really?
Yeah.
Treat Me Like a Clown, tear a good man's reputation down?
I changed the words in order.
That's what I mean.
So, every so often, but it's the same sound.
Yeah.
It means the same thing.
When you were in Paris, I want to ask you, how did you feel about that whole European tour? It was just wonderful from moment to moment, wasn't it for you? And for everybody watching. I gathered the Paris things were great too.
Well, I like to play.
I'm really getting nowhere today. What am I getting? Why would you like to talk about? Is there anything you really don't want to talk too much about this?
I don't want to talk to you at all.
All right.
But I'm
giving your muffins back. I know, John.
I know we got to find something to talk about. Now, if we can find something to talk about, let's talk about it.
Well, the question to Jan Wenner was going to come and ask you questions. You want him to come up and talk?
Yeah. Why don't you just ask me his questions?
I could tell you what questions he wants. Why are you doing this tour? He told me.
Well, why did I do the last one? I didn't do this one for the same reason I did the last one.
What was the reason for that?
That one was the same reason I did the one before that. And I'm doing this tour for the same reason that I was doing tours in the old days, that I've always done. I can't remember what it is anymore. I don't know the reason anymore. It's all I have to do. You know, we're going to tell me to stop doing the only thing I know how to do?
Well, why does everyone always mention in every paragraph they have to say, the rumors are that you do the tours for money? Why do they keep on saying that?
Well, they always say that, because money's
They think that's an original explanation. You're giving a much more original one than that. You're not even giving
There's
one.
more important things in the world than money, you know? I mean, to them, when they say doing it for money, that means that to them, the only thing that's important in the world is money. That's why he's doing a tour. He could be saying he's doing a tour to a lot of reasons. Yeah, to meet girls, to
see the United States.
see the world. You know, there's many reasons to go to a tour.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And
I
now
tour
good test
because
and federal
it's
regulations
all I
tell us
know
that
how
the
to
car
do
seat belt
is play.
will be taking off very shortly. Thank you very much.
Okay, he also really wanted to know why all these people are attacking you and how you feel about it.
Well, he would know that better than me.
I wish you were here to ask you the rest of them. He had all sorts of questions to ask you.
Give me a pillow.
I'm not the one to ask.
You said in the Playboy interview, you had a nice thing to say. You said the reason why you say you do new versions of the songs because you still believe in them.
That's right.
It sounds to me like that means that if you believe in something, you make it real. And so to make something real, you just have to make it alive, no, or what?
Well, it is real.
No, I mean you feel the songs are still real.
I know they're real.
Yeah, but that's why you do the new versions.
That's right. That's why I keep doing the old songs.
You've certainly transformed everything. How did you go about finding the arrangements for these particular songs? So just give an example of how
I
you
personally
doing it.
have changed. Like I say, you meet new people in your life, and you become you're involved with different levels with people who. I mean, you know, love is a force. So when a force comes in your life and and there's love surrounding you, you can do anything.
Is that what's happening to you now?
What?
Something similar to that. Yeah.
When you introduce the girls on stage as well, your current girlfriend, your present girlfriend, your former sweetheart, is that to be taken literally or not?
Oh yeah, I love all the girls. Yeah.
Don't you think it's bizarre that the on-the-road image, which is always associated with you, always seems to be the image of a purity for a folk singer or for an artist, really, even for an artist mentally? I mean, on the road mentally or physically or both, you know? And you seem to really be on the road now. For 4 months, 5 months, you really are on the road every day.
Yeah, I've been on the road a long time this year.
Do you feel it like it's necessary for a creative person to really be on the road, whether you're sitting still or whether you're moving or not? Or is that a silly question? But you know what I mean? It seems like you really have taken it literally again. There's no need for you to have to go on the road this much.
Well, who says that?
Well, you just... Oh,
well, I'm the only one who knows what my needs are.
Well, when I asked what your needs were for the... Oh, I didn't ask what your needs were for the tour, why you're doing it. You just said you're doing it because you said you had to.
Well, you ask Muhammad Ali why he fights one more fight, you know? You go ask Marlon Brando why he makes one more movie. I mean, ask these people those questions and see what kind of answers you come up with. Ask Mick Jagger why he goes on the road again. You know, I mean, what is that? Really, I mean, is it so surprising?
No, I'm not trying to be hostile towards you.
No, I understand, but is it so surprising that I'm on the road? I mean,
not at all. I'm just thinking
what else would I be doing in this life? Meditating on a mountain?
Well, on the road is... Some people just find that's their way.
Maybe some people find all kinds of things fulfilling, you know? Whatever somebody finds fulfilling, whatever their purpose is, that's all it is. Give me my coffee.
Did they find it, Martin?
On a high point, carefully laid stone road under the water. It's going to be very good.
Can I ask you about some of the themes I found in your new record?
Definitely, let's do that.
Homelessness, survival, trust and betrayal, sacrifice, exile, tyranny, and victimization.
Those themes go through all my songs because I feel those things, you know, and those feelings touch me. So naturally, they're going to appear in my songs.
But it seems like in this album, you really have brought them all back home, these themes again, and the people keep on putting the record down. Why is it when you really put them together again in a new way?
I don't know. Here's all I tell you this. I've got 23 records out in Columbia alone. I must have 75 bootleg records out. So I have a lot of records out. It's to the point where it doesn't matter anymore. You just make another record. You just write the songs and make another record. And you gotta, everyone is new and you want it to be the best, but you know you're just gonna make another one anyway. You're gonna write more songs, so you can't be too concerned with. I can't anyway. Seeing as I have so many records out, I'm not concerned in the least bit on this past record. You know, I live with that. And other people who don't live with that, they get hit with it the first time and it surprises them, and they might it's coming at them from someplace and they maybe haven't thought about it that way. But that's not for me to say. You know, that's my life. I mean, if they can find identity in that, well then, okay. I'm not trying to fool anybody.
But you know, there is something about these three songs. I don't. Do you know how and why? Not how, but you know what they're about. Do you know what they're about?
Yeah, it interested me to write that one.
No time to think.
Yeah.
When did you write that at a stretch, or did you write it over dream or fasting, or when you were? What was it? In pieces, or?
Most of it came to me in pieces. Yeah.
Why is it that when I hear these, I feel like I'm in some very deep dream? I don't really know necessarily what each thing refers to, but it all makes sense to me. Emotional, you know.
Well, I mean, because we're all dreaming, and these songs come as close to getting inside that dream as we can.
I think so.
It's all dream anyway, yeah.
I mean, like for instance, you know this thing about she had a way of telling what my private thoughts were. That line, and Where Are You Tonight? And then in that earlier song, you have the captain sending his thoughts to a beloved mate. There are all kinds of connections in these songs that like I was thinking about this one, Where Are You Tonight, with these encounters that take place, right? There's like he and she, right? Like he's coming up here.
Yeah. Look, John.
Sorry, I'm
no.
you.
You're right, but I can't explain my work. I'm the last person in the world who's going to explain it to you.
Really?
Yes. I'm the first person who put it to you, and the last person who will explain
So it's really
it to you.
rude of me to ask you, sort of. Huh?
I don't think it's rude of you because you're interested, you know. But these questions can be answered dozens of different ways.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they're all legitimate.
And the interpretations, which are multiple too, are okay too. For you, I guess, no? Or why
It doesn't
not?
matter. Everybody sees in the mirror what they see. No one sees the same thing in the mirror.
Why is it that I have this obsessive need to want to figure out these songs? I'm perfectly happy not knowing, like who Marcel and St. John are, for instance, right? Or who the partner in crime is, or who these figures are. Because in fact, you know, like when you wrote Sarah and said, I stayed up all night in the church, her writing Said-Eyed Lady in the Lily, you didn't explain Said-Eyed Lady.
I'll tell you something. I mean, I've seen it written that Dylan was never as, when he told the truth. Blood on the Tracks? Blood on the Tracks was not necessarily truthful. It was just perceptive. But, or Desire, he would say that he wrote that song for his wife Sarah. Why? Because it's called Sarah? Or why? Because I say I stayed up all night in Chelsea Hotel writing a song for you? It doesn't necessarily have to be about her.
No, I know.
You know?
Well, like Baby Please Don't Cry, why should it be about you? It's about some guy who's singing about, baby, you've been with a bad man. Actually, it's weird about that song because at the end of it, you find out the girl's been crying because she may be in love with someone else.
Yeah, but you're right. I know lots of people, and sometimes they get in real close, and it's natural for me to feel those feelings.
Okay, but when you come across, and whether it's you or a persona, you know, like in Is Your Love in Vain, you really get attacked hard. Not only from Rolling Stone, but a lot of girls.
Well, because they don't understand.
Is that song to be taken literally or
No,
metaphysically?
that's dumb. That has to do with woman's lib. I mean, or women that think women should be businessmen, and women should be karate instructors, and women should be airplane pilots. That's all fine, but I'm not knocking that. I mean, everybody should achieve what they want to achieve. But as far as when a man's looking for a woman, he ain't looking for no woman that's an airplane pilot or a business woman. He's looking for a woman to help him out, and support him and hold up one end while he holds up another.
Is that the kind of woman you're looking for and like? Because the
No,
thing
I'm
is, you
just
say
speaking objectively.
generally. But then you say your song's not necessarily about you, and yet people are taking that song to be specifically about you and your needs or something, and then they criticize.
Well,
you for
yeah,
it.
because I'm everybody anyway.
Okay, well, this is what I wanted to ask you then about. I'm not, there's this really fantastic poet who talks about the pronoun stuff, Well, I'll tell you what I mean exactly. He says this: ego gives place to an unnamed pronoun, which is not totally a you or a he. The mystery of inspiration consists in this ambiguity. I was thinking about it with some of your songs in there, where yous and he's could be you or someone else or a she, and they just seem to become part of a greater whatever.
It's all the same, only it's more or less.
Can I ask you about this figure, the hoodlum, the partner in crime, and then you have your bet with the bad man, and then in the
Your partners in crime, hit me up for nickels and dimes?
Yeah.
Wow, shit, I mean, is there anybody on earth that hasn't happened to?
No, but what I mean is that there's a hoodlum in Dead-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. There's a certain character who walks throughout your songs who really is, you can't tell whether it's a guy you have an in for, whether it's a part of you, or whether it's both, or whatever,
Who do you want to know about?
Well, let's say the hoodlum in the Dead-Eyed Lady.
Now you're going back a long way.
Okay, forget that. What about the partner in crime?
Well, I mean, who isn't your partner in crime?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of magical stuff on this record. The Pony song has a thing about voodoo, and I wish magician, I could change the world.
Because these are the things I'm really interested in. I told you, it took me a while to get back to where I'm at, I see, what I used to do before unconsciously, up to Blonde on Blonde, and I can truthfully say that, what I was doing unconsciously, I half-stepped one day.
What?
And the lights went out.
What?
And since that point, I've more or less had amnesia. Now you can take that as literal or as metaphysical as you need to, but that's what happened to me. And it took me a long time to get it back, to get to do consciously what I used to be able to do unconsciously, real natural. And it's taken me all this time. I mean, it happens to everybody. I mean, people go through periods where they just don't do anything. Or they lose it and have to regain it, Or when they lose something, they gain something else. So what happened to me was it's taken me all this time, and those records I made along the way were like openers, trying to go, well, is it this way, is it that way, just what is it? What's the simplest way I can tell the story and make this feeling felt? So now I'm back on the track, and I don't know how long I'll be here because I don't know how long I'm going to live, But what comes now is for real from a place that I don't know. I don't give a shit who else knows or cares about it. I just know. But I can't, like, John Wesley Harding was an album of fear. Just dealing with fear. Isn't that
Afraid
right?
of airplanes.
Yeah. Well, it was.
But you're calming me down. It's
Okay, but dealing with that, dealing with fear in a fearful way almost. And I know all I wanted to do was get the words right. And but it was courageous to do it because I could have not done it too. Anyway, Nashville Skyline was someplace I don't even care to suggest. I mean, what motivated that album? Because I mean, obviously I couldn't do that, but I mean, I was trying to grasp something that would lead me on to where I thought I should be, and it didn't go nowhere. It just went down, 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 and my personal life is. I'll have another one of these.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Sugar and cream?
No, just cream. And look at that out there. That's the ocean.
It's not that gorgeous. It looks like heaven from here.
Country of the Kings. Anyway, what had happened to me was I remember mentioning to you this guy in New York. I don't want to mention his name. I did mention him once to you, I think, in another interview. Anyway, I had a good fortune to meet this man. I was convinced I wasn't going to do anything else. Anyway, he taught me how to see, put my mind and my hand and my eye together, and with my in a way that was conscious, doing consciously what you unconsciously felt. And I didn't know how to pull it off because I wasn't sure it could ever be done in songs because I'd never written a song like that. But when I started doing it, the first album I made was Blood on the Tracks. And everybody agrees that was pretty different. And what's different about it is that there's a code. In the lyrics, there's a code, and there's also no sense of time. Time doesn't exist. There's no respect for it. And so when your breakage of time happens, you got yesterday, today, and tomorrow all in the same all in the same room. Well, there's very little that you can't really do with that, or there's very little you can't imagine that to happen. And so I did that.
I just interrupt for 1 second, and inferentially, you have a thing about some girl named Justine in the book who comes in and says to you that she didn't feel guilty about the fire burning, and you're not doing anything.
That's right.
Only God
That
can
was
be in the same
unconscious,
space and
though.
time at the same place.
That was unconscious, and that drilled me down. Doing it unconsciously.
Oh yeah.
I was doing it like a primitive, and it took everything out of me. And everything was gone. I was drained. I found out later it's a much wiser thing to be able to consciously do what you can do unconsciously, and you can act, and then it can be that, and it can also be more stronger.
This man you're
Actually, you
talking
may
about,
even live longer. Whatever you're doing might have a better chance to survive too. I'm not sure about that actually, but so from that album we went to Desire. See, and I was still conscious of this time thing, but I wrote that with Jacques, and I just we wrote that album together. I can't remember who wrote what, and then I disappeared for a while. I went on Rolling Thunder tours, and
made your movie.
Made the movie, which I also used that quality of no time. And I believe this is real and true, more real and true than that which does have time.
Which is? What are you referring to? I mean,
this concept of creation.
Yeah. Speaking about your movie just for a second, you see these lines in this song, No Time to Think? The bridge that you travel on goes to the Babylon door with the rose in your hair.
Yeah.
Starlight in the east and you finally release your stranded with nothing to share. That sounds like your movie a little bit. Just
So
a little.
it does, don't it?
Okay. What was this half step you said you took? Is that the word half step in 66?
Yeah.
You mean half step towards...
I can't remember.
Okay.
But anyway,
all right.
What was it?
You're up to the new record.
No, it wasn't up to the new record.
you're
I
up
was
to
up
the
to
new
doing the
conception.
movie. See, and I was just laying around. We were making this movie. And when the people, like I say, when the people in your life change, you change. And
when you know what it is, when you feel in your gut who you are, then you dynamically pursue it and don't back down. Don't give up. And then you're going to mystify a lot of folks, you know, because they might not be able to connect no more because that may or may not be true. I don't know. Here's the thing. I've always gone out. People have said, "Oh, I don't like them anymore," but other people do. So my crowd gets bigger and bigger because other people do. They just don't. It never bothered me at all. But I mean, who cares really? You know?
Well, you're
Who
right.
really cares?
Except,
I mean, you know, like if you fall down and you're hurting, you care about that immediate situation. You don't care about nothing else. I mean, if you got the energy to care, I mean, who really cares? It's like, what's that line? Propaganda, obscenity, who really cares?
that's the way you feel about all these people writing about you too, no?
I don't even see it, John.
You don't?
I mean, once in a while I will, but it don't. Who cares? Just
Can I ask you a question about love? Do you mind? I know it sounds silly, but we're up in the air. Do you mind, or do you?
No, I don't mind. I'm not too qualified on this
I know,
subject, but,
I know you're not, but I don't. If you could just, it's not to help me out about something,
okay, but love comes from the good Lord.
Love. Yeah, you're talking about that kind of love.
That's that kind of love, and it's His love and His care that keeps all of us going. I believe that. I mean, it might sound.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm talking about this. Like, in love is a four-letter word. You had these lines about the holy kiss. After waking enough times to think I see the holy kiss that's supposed to last eternity, blow up in smoke, its destiny falls on strangers, travels free. Yes, I know, traps are only said by me, I do not really need to be assured that love. The whole thing is brilliant because
that's right, it is brilliant.
I'm sorry, there are two aspects of love in there, you know, and which is the right one?
All of it. It's all love.
The love that's free and the love that
it's
contains.
all love and needs to be love.
It's all love that needs to be love. Well, what about in your songs? We talk about the twin, you know, my twin. You talk about this could be the dream lover of my lifetime, and yet,
yeah, because these
and then it breaks
interest me.
apart.
Yeah, but I don't know what they mean. They just interest me. I feel those feelings. I mean, everyone feels those feelings. People put down, if they don't like this record, it's because they don't want to admit that that's the way things are. It's too confusing for them to have to deal with it.
Well, what does that have to do with love now?
Everything.
Oh. But I mean, you know the famous William Blake poem about he who binds to himself the joy does the winged life destroy, and he who kisses the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise. That's a famous poem.
Ginsberg used to quote that all the
Did he?
time.
Well, that kind of thing about traveling free, love that travels free, and then the other love that, you know what I mean? You have them both in your songs and your being, I guess, which is, how do you feel when one goes one? I mean, I know I'm asking a personal question, not personal about you and your love life, but about, I mean, everyone has this problem. How do you know when you're with someone you really should be with, and how you know, and when you should just be yourself and let the process go in the other way? Or is that too much of a Dear Abby question? I mean, I don't know, you know.
Three kinds of love: good love, bad love, and hard love.
Well, I don't know what they mean, though.
Yes, you do.
Good love, bad love, and hard love. Well, what about soulmates?
What about soulmates?
Do they exist? I mean,
Of course they do.
well, I don't want to get upset up here. I having some problems about this recently. How do you know which is your real soulmate? If it is, why does it end, you know? I mean, I'm sorry to be simple-minded about it, but your songs are all about it, you know. And going on, those lines that they quote, the grandmother quotes, you know.
That's right. You know,
I I don't mean to get you
soulmate
down
is to
here.
say that what do they mean by soulmate? I mean, in one sense of the word, they mean a male and there's a male and a female in everyone. Don't they say that? Or somebody says it.
You mean in every
says
person?
it. Yeah, Nietzsche or. So I guess the soulmate would be the physical mate of the soul. But that would mean you're only supposed to be with one other person. And the soul is big. Are the only two people? I mean, is the soulmate a romantic notion, or is there a truth to that?
That's what I was asking you.
How would I know?
Well, you've studied a lot. I mean, Where Are You Tonight seems to me about that a lot too. Oh well, I don't want to force an issue here. I just, how these Kabbalists talk about how you have to burn away the rhymes. You have to. That's it. The heat. You got to burn the heat that burns the rhymes away from the material reality, and get to the truer reality. And I feel like in this song, and in No Time to Think, that you're doing what you did in like a Rolling Stone too, which is that you go back to the formless state. You bring someone back down to the zero state. In every person, and I find that an important thing that a person must do. Get back to the zero state, to be imageless, virgin, the way the mystics talked about
You're
it.
right. Well, that's not a bad idea.
Well, like they're not such cruel songs as people think they or torture songs. They're really like songs just stripping you of the things, the layers, and getting back to what you really are. Do you feel that maybe a little or not in those songs? I feel that a lot. Doesn't mean you have to agree. You know what I mean? This image of purity. Imageless, formless, loveless, stripped of every quality like the essence of God. I feel your
Stripped
songs...
of all virtues, you crawl through the dirt. You can give, but you cannot receive.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, I said it.
You say a lot in here, actually. Also, these things here about the babe and the woman in rage and the environment, that landscape being raped. There's something so powerful about these images of despair, and that at the same time it's so ecstatic to hear you sing it. Yeah, you said it. Got this Georgia practically. I mean, it's sold out everywhere, isn't it?
You win? You're sold out. As far as I know.
Every place you go on, it's sold out, isn't it?
It always is most of the time.
Well, someone there likes you, don't they? You don't want to talk about changing your hearts at all, do you?
Well, let's see if we can find something to talk about.
All right. Who is the messenger with the black nightingale? What is the messenger with the black nightingale? Does it refer to a specific mythical character, or is it just a character in the song?
Well, that actually happened to me, but it wasn't a nightingale, it was a raven. It looked like a nightingale.
With a broken wing or not? No.
No.
There's something really, but this is a very great song. I mean, I don't want to ask you to analyze it, because when you analyze it, it ruins it. I know it does. But
I couldn't do that. I couldn't.
no, I know you couldn't. But is the tarot thing way off the beam? I mean, why did you use the King and the Queen of Swords to end it with a? Because it sounds like a combination that brings peace again. It's a peaceful image of the union of those two cards.
Well, it means something different every time I sing it.
Did you write this song after you woke up one night, or in the morning, or is it something that you used your conscious mind again?
Well, no, it was. You have to use the conscious mind to go into the unconscious mind. That's how I wrote that song.
Listen, I'm not going to bug you with any question stuff, but just this one thing here. Just about this song. I came across this guy, he's a Mexican poet. Can you just look at this here? Maybe you can read it better than I can. From here, the stone of the statue, down to there. If you don't mind looking at that. says it simply, don't you think?
I do.
Without having to analyze details about it. Do you think that sort of fits?
It makes sense to me.
You're just being flattering now, or you?
We going down?
16 minutes. This is short field today. That means we'll put it on the end and stop. No time for flies.
This song of yours called Sign on the Cross has a thing that stands in there about when I was a born child, I saw what I wanted to be, and it's all for the sake of that picture I should see. But I was lost on the moon as I heard that front door slam, and that old sign on the cross still worries me. That whole business about the moon, I wrote that intuition, imagination, and magic about being lost on the moon. But this songs here come back to that, being lost on the moon.
See, I write all the songs in unconscious moments. I can't even remember what triggers them off. You know, I just write them when I feel like writing them. And they ain't a big deal.
Can I ask you a question at the beginning about this Netflix thing? If I decided I wanted to write a little book just going into this stuff, would you feel that was pretentious? No, honestly. Not because I wouldn't ask you for your
who
help.
would read it though?
No, but I mean, it may be all off. But I'm just saying, if I keep on asking these questions, which probably I should just write to myself, you know, instead of bothering you with it.
I don't know if my work is worthy of it. I'm not sure it is.
There are all these books about you that come out.
I'm not sure what they mean. Are you? Who needs them?
You really believe that?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a look at the list of all the songs you've written?
There's plenty there.
No. Yeah, but I'm talking about in terms of the quality. I mean, the high level of...
Well, I've been around a long time. I can't help but...
all right, maybe one day I'll just write some of my ideas and then see what you think. See, I was going to start an interview just to ask you these questions. Where have you been? What did you say? What did you hear? Who did you meet? What do you do now?
I'd be here the rest of my life talking to you.
If I asked you that?
Yeah, we can't stop for that.
No, I wasn't going to. Also, what about in One More Cup of Coffee, The Sister Sees the Future? There are a lot of witchy women in your songs.
I meet witchy women. You know, I just, somehow I attract them.
Why do you think that is? Maybe you're a bit of a wizard, huh?
I don't know, I wish they'd leave me alone.
Well, so much brought you some food. You got good witches and bad witches.
That's right.
A lot of bad witches in some of your songs. That voodoo girl in New Pony who's giving you some trouble.
That's right.
Going to give back what you're wishing on someone else?
This X isn't EX. This X is mixed X, capital X.
Yeah, it says that here.
Right.
Someone thought it was EX? Oh, you mean X like as an ex-wife?
Yeah.
People thought that's what it was?
Oh, yeah.
What about being in exile and you don't want to be converted? Is that a Jewish statement?
Well, like we was talking about before, I don't know how Jewish I am because I have blue eyes. And they're real Russian.
Well, I'm Russian Jewish too.
But I mean, going back that far, I mean, which one of them women didn't get raped by the Cossacks? So there's plenty of Russian in me, otherwise I wouldn't be so, you know, nervous all the time. You know what I mean?
You twitch a lot, don't you?
Qualified. That's why Elgar won.
I mean, it's just like black people. How many of them out there are real black? You know?
Not serious.
So I got a lot of Russian blood in me. I've always suspected that.
That's right. Would have been great to have all three of them.
I'm glad to have that, actually, myself. What about this here? The poet is a magician who renounces his magic and thereby recreates the universe of power instead of trying to exploit it. Don't you think that's what you do?
I think so.
Well, I wish I was a magician.
Yeah.
I think you recreate the universe of power, and I don't think you exploit it, really. If you wanted to, you could be,
No, when you exploit it, you destroy it.
Wilhelm Wagner, Richard Wagner.
Absolutely.
I was going to name some other current rock figures, but I won't do that. Oh yeah, Jan Wenner wanted me to ask you who you like.
In what sense?
The rock guys around today.
The new rock guys?
Yeah.
I just like the people that I came up with. You know?
We mentioned this John Clark character.
Well, he's good, yeah, but of the new people, I mean, who is there?
Well, there's Bruce Springsteen. There's Bob Seger. There's Van Morrison again.
Yeah.
Let's not go into that then. We don't want to discuss it. What else am I supposed to ask you if you're gone? I think you've had enough of me for a year. I'll see you in a year. Oh, Wild Mountain Time, which I love, and you sang in Isle of Wight. That thing about building my love a tower, I felt that tower, the thing about the meadow. In Isis you have a meadow too, you know?
Is that right?
You have a beautiful line about the meadow in Isis, you remember that one? And here, this image here in Change of the Guards. Here, she's smelling sweet like the meadows where she was born on Midsummer's Eve near the tower. Every time I hear you sing that, it's very pure image to me. It brings me back to a very deep part of me, and I don't know what it's about.
All my images are pure. They gotta be, otherwise I can't use them.
Doesn't that go back to like thousands of years into the past? So
it does.
Fairy
Changing of
tales.
the Guards is 1,000 years old.
It feels like it. It feels
Sure.
like the Middle Ages or something.
Definitely. No, go ahead, take it.
Flowers and Eden too, in the fall. And
Woody Guthrie said
Sorry.
he just picked songs out of the air.
Huh?
Woody Guthrie said he just picked songs out of the air. That meant they were there before he got there. He just picked them out of the air because he was tuned into it.
Who's this?
Woody Guthrie.
He did?
Changing of the Guards might be a song that could have been there for, literally thousands and thousands of years. And, just it sailing around in the mist.
What about
And one
the
day I just tuned into it. It's just like Beast of Burden is floating around, and Changing of the Guards for a Beast of Burden. Mick Jagger comes by and,
Beast of Burden's a good song, don't you
yeah.
think? Listen, what about that song that's sort of about you, in a weird way?
That ain't really me because,
I know. You know what I mean?
The one about
Some
Zuma
girl.
Beach? I never lived on Zuma Beach. Mick ought to know that.
Well, he imitates your phrasing of the song.
He always does.
Are you friends with him? I mean, how do you feel about him now and his stuff, his new record? Sort of a lot of energy in that.
I've always liked the Stones. I mean,
Beast of Burden you like especially, or what?
no, I always like the Stones, good or bad. Doesn't matter, what anything they do is fine with me.
Do you agree with this? All of us are alone because all of us are two?
Who wrote that?
The same guy who wrote the thing about the images.
Why only two?
Well, he says, man is anguished, violent, and searching for that other who is he himself, and nothing can bring him back to himself except a mortal leap, love, the image, the apparition. We had never seen that face before, and already it is confused with our most remote past. It is total strangeness, and this return to something that can only be qualified by the word intimate. To touch that body is to lose oneself in the unknown, but also it is to reach solid ground. And I feel that in some of your new songs as well, or what happens when that mysterious other appears.
Now it's fun and band. Did you?
Yeah,
It's pretty out there, isn't it?
Really pretty.
I can't disagree, but I gotta think there's more than two.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, look.
I know there's more than one. Didn't Leonard Cohen have say something like that?
He did?
Yeah, he said something like, when I was, what was it? He had a song. I was the one who. Who goes from nothing to two? Nothing to one or nothing.
I gotta check it out. We're back to numbers where we started off,
Leonard Cohen is into numbers.
Are you particularly or not?
Well, I am, but I don't think to
Not
the
like
degree
that.
he is.
You don't think what?
I don't think I am to the degree he is.
I'll check it out. You don't know what album was on, or was it just one of his poems?
No, this was a song.
Oh.
I'm the one who goes from nothing to one.
So you're interested in more than two.
Yeah, I'm interested in a million.
I'm sure if you're on one of your business week, they say dollars or people or things or angels.
No, I don't want to be limited by numbers.
I didn't think so. That's why we have to check you up with some of the things you say. Gemini, it says here, the twins represent both the doctor and the invalid. Both of them.
Yeah,
And it says here that they're symbols of the harmonious ambiguity of paradise and hell, love and hate, peace and war, birth and death, praise and insult, clarity and obscurity, scorching rocks and swamps surrounding fountains and waters of salvation. That sounds like a good description of some of your new songs.
Right. Well, you can't choose what month of the year to be born in.
No, I know. I'm not.
You know, that's all decided beforehand.
But they sound like your songs a little bit, don't they? I'm trying to get to the heart of your songs without even telling you I'm doing that. But I guess you're sussing out that I'm doing that, aren't you? These are some of the greatest songs I have heard. I'm not being flattering to you. I mean,
what do you want to hear tonight? Anyone on there?
Really? You're asking me?
Yeah.
But the one I really like to hear, I don't think it. Are you prepared to do it?
Which one?
That one.
Which one?
Where are you tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Do you do that at all?
Oh, yeah.
You do really?
You can do anything, yeah.
Sacrifice was the code of the road.
Sure, that's...
You're back to that idea a lot, you know? To die before dying, and to die and to become. How do you manage to do that?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're descending to
Shedding your
8,000
skin
feet.
all
We have
the time,
about
making
7
new
minutes to
songs,
go.
new songs out of the old
Ground
ones. I
weather
do
is
this all
good.
the time.
Temperature
That's my
71.
mission in life.
Once again, good sense and federal regulations tell us to pick our seats and belt up. We'll be on the ground, as I repeat, about
Did you bring your parachute?
We're going out that way?
Yeah.
What about a pathway to the stars? I
Dick,
prefer
we
that
have a
image.
parachute we have a parachute here. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right,
The interview went badly, you see. I'm going out.
we can open the back stairs. You can do the CJ Post or whatever that is. CW
I prefer the ladder pathway that leads up to the stars.
Yeah.
You know William Blake's little drawing of a little boy climbing up to the stars, and it's called I Want, I Want? That's what it's called. A little boy climbing up to the stars on a ladder. You ever seen that?
Not sure.
Oh. If I did a little thing on you and called it The Perfect Stranger, how would you feel about that? Because you remind me of The Perfect Stranger, really, in the
Isn't
two
that a
senses
line?
of the word.
Isn't that
From one of your
line?
songs.
Put that line
Perfect
in.
Stranger coming home at last, you know, and
The perfect stranger. Yeah.
I like that a lot. But perfect meaning perfect, and also this, you know, the cliche about, well, you know, he's a perfect stranger, I can't tell him anything.
No.
No, thank you. A parachute. How could I, you know, tell that person something he's just a perfect stranger? But that's not bad, is it? Yeah. All right. Listen, do you want Jan wanted to come up and do a legit interview with you because...
No, I think we got it.
You've had enough?
Yeah. We're supposed to see him in New York anyway. Isn't he going to be there with...
Yeah. Can you see him then? Oh, his wife wants you to come to dinner.
Who's his wife?
Janie.
Oh, I thought he married Jacqueline Onassis. That just shows you how much I know. I'm way behind.
You know how people get into situations with their eyes open and get out with their eyes shut? You seem to get out of situations with your eyes open. I dreamt that one night that you were getting out of situations with your eyes open and writing about it. You think that's true?
You could say that.
Well, you know, Nietzsche said that this person's feelings, the real feelings and intensity of his feelings come about when he breaks up with someone, that the real feelings come out when the break comes.
Your real feelings come out when you're free to be alone.
When you're free to be alone?
Yeah.
Can you be that with someone too?
Well, most people try to put they draw a line and you can't step across. You know? I find that's true in most petty relationships.
They draw a line?
They draw a line, you know, they don't want you to cross. That's why I don't live that way anymore. I mean, I just had it with all that.
You got over your fear about fear, in other words, right?
Fear of being alone?
No, that too, but just fear of what other people think about you.
I've never cared that.
Really? Even people who are close to you?
No, I wasn't brought up that way.
So listen, people in like your movie, for instance, you're going to make some more movies?
Yeah.
I hope you do. How are you going to get the money to do all that?
I'm going to get outside money.
Will you?
Yeah, I can't put up no more money for movies.
No, I know.
I'm going to get outside money to do it.
Oh, so your 2-hour version, does it exist now?
Yeah.
How is it?
I didn't see it, but I saw it only on 10-minute reels, and it looked fine to me.
Is it like the best of type of thing? Or is it just...
Go see it. I think it's different. I think it's a different experience.
Okay. Did you live there? Yeah. Hope in Paris you give them the 4-hour version at least for some showings. I don't know. Maybe
I hope you
can't do
mention
it.
how much this movie was. I hope you mention in this article how well that movie was received in Europe.
I will. They don't believe it here, you know.
No.
How do you like the reviews?
Well, they don't
of that
believe
film
anything
that you
here.
got?
Unless they see it on the 6 o'clock news.
Well, so I just like
Unless you make commercials here, you know. They love commercials. Just love them. They put more money in them commercials than they do in some feature-length movies.
I'd love to see the reviews of your commercials. They probably say some weird stuff too about that too. Well, I wish you the best of your tour. Because you're going to be inspiring people all over the place.
Well, that's good. I hope to.
So maybe this will be it for now.
Yeah.
I'll do my
Type it
best.
up and see what
I wanted to show it to you first as usual. I don't want to put things in you don't
Show
want.
it to me then.
You're going to be on tour.
Well, get it to me. Get it to Paul.
Show it? Okay.
Yeah. And even you, why don't you come to the next time we'll go over it or something.
Really?
I think of some more
If it-
interesting things to say.
You don't mind? Where shall I see you again?
Anytime you got it typed up.
Okay. Why don't I do that? I want to get you your $50. I'll give them to your hotel. I'm not staying over in New Haven, I don't think. Maybe I should. I don't know.
Well,
I don't think I have a place to
type
stay.
it up and get it. Stay in touch with me. You got an itinerary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to go in without you looking at it.
It's always hard to find in this town.
And there's nothing else you want to particularly mention in this thing, huh? That I should get in? Okay, this is a little bit of fun.
I got to get a tape cassette. Anyway, we was talking about my audience coming from heaven.
Oh, yeah. That's what that woman said.
Yeah, well, I believe it. Don't you?
That audience come from
Yeah,
heaven?
no. My
yours?
particular audience does.
Your particular one. I
Yeah,
know.
don't you think it does?
Yeah, I do.
Where else could it come from?
Well, I've already met 2 angelics, actually. This guy was very sweet, wasn't he?
Yeah.
A girl who made...
They're all angels, you know. But Paul brought something up to me
Oh.
that you said, which I disagree with. You said a genius can't be a genius on instinct alone, and I disagree. I believe a genius can be a genius. That's what makes a genius, instinct.
Who said I said that? I
Paul
said
did.
that. But I said genius
A
can't
genius.
make it on instinct alone. I told him that. What did I tell him? Last night at the hotel?
No, maybe you don't remember telling him that.
That's a weird statement. I made that. I'm not trying to deny
Also,
it to you. I just
also,
don't
just
understand
all
it.
the put downs of the album, if there can be, if such a thing exists, I'm not really aware of it.
The breakdowns of the album.
yeah.
Well, you read Real Markets and Rolling Stone. You told me
Well,
you wanted to talk to me.
I read it, but in fact, I didn't understand it.
Well,
See,
because it's a thing
as a matter
about
of fact-
real. It's not about you.
yeah. See, I
it
don't
seems
think
to me.
I don't think a man like that has had the experiences that I've had to write those songs. That's about all it amounts
Well,
to.
didn't
Now,
you think it was about him more than about you?
I don't know who it was about, but I don't. It didn't strike me particular as being interesting one way or another, or compelling to my particular scene. You follow me?
Sure.
But as far as that goes, I I haven't seen any bad reviews. I don't check all the all the daily reports, but
Well, look at all the people who write what they say about Ronaldo and Clara and about you. Really, they're writing about you and their feelings about you. They say you're presumptuous, egocentric. What are some of the other things they say? I don't know. They're all, you just read these adjectives. What else? Pretentious. These are heavy things. I mean, if I got criticism like that all the time, I would really flip out.
well, these people don't like, they don't like to, probably don't even like to eat what I like to eat. They probably don't like the same things I like.
So you think you have to be in an affinity with someone in order to write about them?
You have to have something in common with someone. If you don't have something in common, I mean, if you're so alienated and disassociated, which I think these people are, because I figure I'm right into the mainstream at all times. And,
the mainstream,
yeah.
You don't think these few of the songs on the album, though, are really quite difficult? I mean, they're really, you want to get away from the serious, maybe intellectual aspect of the thing, but really, No Time to Think and the Change of the Guards and those others are really, you have to really concentrate and meditate on them to really get their full power, aside from liking the sound of them, which I do. But
What else are we going to talk about?
Sorry, did I say the wrong thing?
No.
You turned off immediately when I...
Well, you always get back to that album.
Oh, you want to get off that album, is that it?
Well, we did it so long ago, that I don't...
Okay, let me ask you this, about a producer. That's what Jan wanted me to ask you about.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to
that's
find
another
one
image
now.
that they say that you
Yeah.
can't produce.
I'm definitely doing. I'm not a producer myself, but I need to find one.
Do you think you really need one? Never bothered me.
To be honest, I don't really think I do need one, but if I'm going to be working in... see, the truth of it is that I can hear the same sounds that other people hear, that they like to hear too. But I don't like to spend the time to try to get those songs in the recording studio with the technical board control.
So you're really not a producer type?
No, I'm not a producer.
There's some musicians who are more producer types than musicians.
There are. They spend more time in the studio. But they're trying. A lot of people try to make something out of nothing. If they don't have a good song, you can go into the recording studio and make it good. You can make it sound good and appear to be good. But that stuff don't last,
Well, you've worked with producers before, 2 of them, right? Bob, the guy who just died.
Right, I've had producers before, but that was way back when that was not really that sophisticated. I mean, if you want to say producers, John Hammond produced my first record, and there was very little to produce. He's singing to a microphone, and he says, "Okay, that's it. It sounded good to me," and you go on to the next song.
That's what you produce still, the old way.
That's still the way I do it.
Yeah. These guys, the producers now, I gather, are more...
Well, now you start,
what's happened in the
but now you start out with anything but the song. You start out with a drum track, and you take a week getting the instruments all sounding the way they should sound.
They start the other way around.
Mm-hmm. They put down the the rhythm track, or they'll put down whatever sound they want to hear. Those tracks, and it's a whole therapy,
For whom? Well,
for the record public.
For the producers too.
Yeah.
Therapy for the record.
I don't know. I see that it's that it's a
discoization of music, really.
Yeah, but if you have a good song, it doesn't matter how well or how badly it's produced. See, so I just go in that, and my records aren't produced that well. I'll admit it, but
I like the way they sound personally. I like Buddy Holly tapes that he did in his garage,
I do too, but those days they were recording with different equipment, and the records were thicker.
Yeah.
If you buy one of my early records, or you can't buy one of my early records, they weren't plastic. They weren't saran wrap like they are now. They were thick, and there was quality to them. And also the machinery was different, and the boards were different. You could record. The Beach Boys did stuff on 2-track machines in their garage.
I think Sgt. Pepper's recorded 8-track.
No, Sgt. Pepper I think was that's.
Yeah, I heard it was 8-track. Really.
8-track? Just
George Martin, because I was at those studios.
maybe it was 8-track. I don't know.
But you say you do want to produce it, even though.
I think so. If I can just See, first of all, in the past, in the recent past, my particular schedule was going in, you know, like when I have the songs, recording them and then putting them out. Now I'm writing songs on the run again. So and they're dear to me, the ones I'm doing now, and I can perfect them better, actually. So now, if I just block time out here and there, I can make an album and just work on one like, say, the Eagles would, you know, because I got so many records out now anyway, it don't matter when I put out a new one. So I could put out one next fall sometime and start working on it, you know, in January, and then just have it produced right.
What's the longest you ever took to make a record?
6-7 hours.
Are you talking about a track or a whole album?
And a whole album?
Yeah, I mean an album.
I don't know.
You think you work 3 days Planet Waves?
Yeah.
3 days with the new one, and or something like that. That's what I heard. Fast.
Well,
Desire was also quick, I gather. I mean, I gather you did lots of recordings, but the ones you chose were 1 or 2 sessions, right?
right.
It's funny, so maybe there's a conflict between your wanting that produced sound and your wanting to have it rough.
No,
Not anymore?
not really. I mean, we only had a week to make Street Legal because we were going back on the road, and we had 3 weeks to make it. We made it in a week and mixed it in another week, and I think put it out the next week.
I'm amazed.
You know, I'm amazed too. But if we didn't make that record when we did, we wouldn't have made a record.
The sound that you have now, you know, with 3 basically soul singer types or sound and a bigger band and so on. Will you keep this group with you, do you think, for a while in recording and so on?
I might hire 2 more girls.
We expanded a bit.
Yeah.
So you got a bigger sound than you've ever had before.
I do, but it doesn't matter how big the sound gets, as long as the sound, as long as it's behind me playing, emphasizing the song.
These guys were saying that they're playing with you now, that the way you're doing songs that you did in Europe a few months ago, it's already different now. I mean, you're changing them again.
We've changed around some, yeah.
They're always amazed that they have, you know, and
they got to relearn them all. Yeah,
well,
but they're good at that.
They said they change while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a continual school for them, isn't it? Band.
You got to ask them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, do you think the musicians you play with are important, or is it just that you?
Oh yeah.
You do.
They're the best. Everybody in this band is.
It seems they can do anything.
Huh?
They can do anything. They're a very malleable instrument.
Well, most everyone has been around for a while.
Do we write songs now with them in mind?
I've had the sound in since I was a kid. You know what grabs my heart. You know, and I had to play alone for a long time. And that was good, because by playing alone I had to write songs. That's what I didn't do when I started out playing. I was playing the songs which were available with a 3-piece band. And but sometimes you don't know, you know. The unforeseen comes up, you just don't know it. This is what. Well, when I was living in New York, I used to go up. Remember Old Madison Square Garden? They used to have gospel shows up there every Sunday. You could see everyone from Five Blind Boys to the Soul Stirrers to Swan Silvertones, Mighty Clouds of Joy.
Did you go to those?
Clara Ward. I went to them every Sunday.
Wow.
And I always used to go to those clubs to hear the Platters, you know,
What about the doo-wop groups?
I didn't hear too much. Well, the doo-wop groups, I mean, they played at shows, you know, and I used to go to a lot of them shows too, but that was the same old thing. Yeah, but that was, see, and those artists didn't have to do but 20 minutes.
I mean, the doo-wop type?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
See, they just got on and got off, and that was never what I wanted to do. because I had done that, and I just knew that those days were going to go. And even in New York, I used to go to the Brooklyn Fox. You know, I used to see a lot of them shows. And the band that I heard that I liked the best was Bobby Blue Bland's band. And I saw that band at the Apollo. But all the time I was doing this, I was still, I mean, when you get to New York, you got to see everybody. So all the time when I was doing that, I was still, I was still new to the folk music scene and learning all about that as I could too. So I was still very much involved with the likes of the music, like say the Country Gentlemen, or you know, Uncle Dave Macon, Stanley Brothers, Bill Monroe, you know.
Blue Sky Boys.
Yeah.
You heard a lot of stuff then.
I heard, that's all I had done my whole life. See, this isn't new to me. I've heard music all my life, and I know the kind of music I like, and it's all I do is listen to music or
like
play
real
it.
music. You like music that's real, that isn't corrupted at all. Whatever the tradition.
Yeah.
So you figured that out early, but a lot of the people who followed you in the folk field, they were up all those kids who freaked out.
Well, it was as new to me as it was to them. But don't forget now. See, I knew this when I played Maggie's Farm Electric at Newport. I mean, that was something I would have done years ago, before that had happened. I mean, they thought I didn't know what I was doing, I imagine. But the truth of it is, Al Cooper remembers that scene very well, and so does Michael Bloomfield. And what the newspapers say happened didn't happen, actually. It didn't happen that way. There wasn't a whole lot of resistance in the crowd. Don't forget, they weren't equipped for what we were doing, technologically, sound-wise. So, you know, what can you say?
And yet they were taking it from other groups at the time, and they had taken it a long time before from other people.
Well, they might have taken it for the jazz people, the jazz festivals. You mean to pump that much? The Birds didn't play then. No, yeah. But I had a legitimate right to do that. No, they weren't playing though.
They weren't?
I don't think they were in the States.
What year? Well, the Stones came in '63 or '64.
I remember hanging out with Brian Jones in '64. Yeah.
That was the first time I really.
And yeah.
You spent time with him?
Yeah, I used to hang around when here and there.
Well, this is before he went to Morocco, huh?
I never saw him after he went to Morocco.
Because he got a little vegetabilized or something. It was sad. He was such a creative guy.
Brian Brian could play the blues.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever play with him?
Oh yeah, yeah. Brian was an excellent guitar player. I always felt he was afraid to sing though for some reason.
He never really did.
But he could play note for note what Robert Johnson played, Charlie Patton. You know, he could.
They knew all that stuff, those guys, didn't they? Really? So you were saying about you were open to everything when you were in New York when you were a kid.
Well, music has been my whole life, so I have always been open to it.
Well, why is everyone so segmented nowadays? They like this and they don't like that.
Well, that's too bad for them. So you asked...
Yeah, it is amazing about you. You're very Shakespearean that way. I don't want to be too intellectual about it. You know, you put on many masks, and you know, Nietzsche said everyone who is profound loves masks. And don't you think different types of music are like different personalities or masks of culture? No. So you identify with them all. It's great, you know. What about classical music? You never were really involved with that, were you?
Well, the melody lines interested me, but look, the melody lines that Bach would use are simple folk lines. Same thing with Mozart. Beethoven was more like, I mean, it was all emotion, controlled emotion, you know, and which to me doesn't have any chord structure. I don't know how to do that.
So
You prefer folk tradition, really.
well, it's something which I prefer something which I can understand and know how to do. See, Beethoven was just he was a technical wizard besides being efficient emotionally also.
Yeah. What can I say to that? But the thing is that when you do an Unplugged on the tracks, so when you did like Buckets of Rain
Right.
and All the Sea Belongs to the Go, and then in the new album where you seem to, well, the Pony Blues song, you seem to be able to go in and out of traditions, pick up what you want and need, and yet transform it for your own purposes.
Well, that's basically what I do, if you could call it something.
I was being too heavy about it, huh?
No, you're right. But so do the Stones.
Yeah,
I mean,
Stones
look at
do
and
too.
like Mick and Keith know all that music too. They know America's filled with all kinds of different music. You know, there's
Well, I don't have to mention names, but I won't use them in the article. But certainly guys like Andrew Gold, or these people here on the radio, you don't get a sense that they think music began 5 years ago with Elton John. I'm serious. I don't think some of these people have any background.
They don't have any background. Some of them don't, some of them do.
I mean, we should be snobby about it. You know,
No,
I mean, be snobby, but I mean, you hear guitarists, all of a sudden one day they hear Charlie Christian, or they hear a flamenco guitarist. But they're
Oh
really
yeah,
like
Manitas de
Montage's
Plata.
work.
Well, he's not really flamenco. He's a
No,
gypsy guitar player.
But you know,
And
Montoya or one of those guys.
Montoya or Sabicas, yeah.
And they hear these guys and they think, they have this incredible guitar playing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're amazed, but you know, the world is
But-
full of stuff like
But that's
that.
lifestyle and culture. That's all those people do is sit at campfires and play, literally, and play for. All they do is eat, sleep, fucking play.
You mean the gypsies or the flamenco guys or what? Well, the gypsy musicians.
Whoever we're talking about, I
Well, you
don't.
sound like a bit of an obsessed musician yourself.
Well, I think that's more or less all I do too.
You sound like, you know, any musician does that. I don't know what to ask you next. I don't know if to continue this line of questioning or just end it there. And yet it's funny, on stage you seem so martyrized sometimes. You seem really an ascetic sometimes. You seem very, very asceticized sometimes when you're performing.
Very well.
Like an ascetic or a monk or a saint who's really in a trance. You do not seem, you know, like grooving about the stage, really. You're not what I would call on stage a performer who sort of is, you know, the show-off, I get the audience to love me, I really want to seduce you type at all. You seem really like in pain. It's funny, a lot of the time. I don't mean it that heavily, but you know, you do sometimes seem a little intense up there. Did I say the wrong thing?
No, you're just babbling.
I am? Oh, I shouldn't smoke that stuff I smoked before. Okay, what should we get on to that's better?
No, I don't know what I appear like, you know, from where you're sitting.
I wrote down actually what it sounds like. It's, you know, want to hear it? I know it sounds like
Yeah, let me hear it.
When you were singing Baby Stop Crying last night, I said it was a combination of the following things. I was trying to get the ingredients. Tenderness, intense sarcasm, outraged innocence, indignation, a certain kind of cool malice, a certain kind of wariness, and a certain kind of indignation, and a lot of energy. And
Right. Well, at a point, you're right to a degree. The man in that song is definitely has his hand out trying to reach.
well, he's also stronger than the woman he's singing about.
Not necessarily.
You don't think?
No.
Well,
So the roles could be reversed at any time. Don't you remember Ramona?
Well, in fact, in the song they are reversed
Mm-hmm.
because the woman is crying, but he says at first it sounds like he's getting rejected, and then he is, but at the same time she's in love with another guy, so she feels rejected about something.
Well, she might be. It seems to me that she might be in love with him, who he isn't anymore.
With he who he isn't anymore. Oh God, really? Like a mirror inversion. That song.
Yeah.
I know. And you've also got to cast the characters there too.
Oh yeah.
To the riverside you go to, and then there's the bad man babe. I mean, the song it's like 4 different movies, you know. And yet it's one song. held together by the chorus. What is that all about? How do you do things like that? Actually,
Lord
the whole album
knows.
is full of songs with 5 different movies. Sorry. How do you do that? Or why do you do it, really?
The Lord is. I wouldn't be doing it unless the some power higher than myself would be guiding me on. I wouldn't be here this long, you know.
What? The power was what?
Well, let me put it another way. What was the question?
The question was, why do you have so many levels in your songs, or so many different scenes, or so many, in this new album especially, you have a lot of different levels happening in the same song?
That's right. That's because my mind and my heart work on all those levels. Shit, I won't be chained down to same old level all the time.
You certainly have never been for very long. You seem to resist it.
Well, sometimes I'll like a place a whole lot, and when people come there, I'll go someplace else, so they'll leave, and I'll go back.
You certainly know about yourself. You know, though, there's something that you just said, though, about that's really interesting, because a lot of people think that the way to be really, and they identify, associated with you, that what you're saying is that the way to be in this world is to be true to yourself, you know, the way all
That's right.
people who have something to teach have things to say. And then you say that over and over again. You tell people, don't worship me, you say, you can say just as good, or you have a number of lines like that in your songs, and I think, you know, that people took it seriously. They admire you for your letting them be themselves. But instead they all seem to want to be you.
Well,
How do you account for that? Seriously.
I'm not sure. I mean, I want to be me too.
Well, who's stopping you, though?
No one. No one. And no one's stopping them from being me either.
Well, it's a burden on you for them to be you.
Yeah, but see, they can't be me. Ain't nobody can be me.
Well, you always told A.J. Weberman, apparently, you said, I'm not Dylan, you're Dylan. And when people come for your autograph, you often say, I'm not Dylan, they're Dylan over there, let him autograph it. So you do this all the time. I don't blame you.
Well, I can't be held account for every little thing that I say or do.
No, you shouldn't be anyway. But you know, I want to read you one
I don't know who could be accounted, who should account for it, but
well, but
sometimes it's
God
just...
has to account for what God has done, and boy. Other than that, can I just ask you about something?
Yeah.
This woman wrote something that said, discovery, both in science and in poetry, and I would say in song, is a mythological situation in which the mind unites with a figure of its own devising as a means toward understanding the world. Shall I read it again? Or
Yeah, read it one more time.
Discovery in science and poetry is a mythological situation in which the mind unites with a figure of its own devising as a means toward understanding the world. And I just thought of you that way in terms of what we're talking about, because it seems that at a certain point you created Dylan, or a figure called Bob Dylan, in order to...
I didn't create Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan has always been here. Always was. When I was a child, there was Bob Dylan. I didn't create Bob Dylan.
Why did you have to play that role?
I'm not certain. Maybe I was best equipped to do it.
Well, you know what Arnold Schoenberg said? Seriously, so people don't think we're too far out. Arnold Schoenberg once said, either I have to be Arnold Schoenberg, or else either someone has to do it, and I am the one who has to be Arnold Schoenberg. He was talking about 12-tone scale and how he invented it, and he felt he was getting really ostracized at the time. And he said, there had to be an Arnold Schoenberg, and I was here to play that role.
Mm-hmm.
And people thought he was crazy, or they didn't take him seriously, but I mean, why not? Maybe it's getting...
Well, sometimes your parents don't even know who you are. You know? No one knows but you. My God, if your own parents don't know who you are, I mean, who else in the world is there that would know except you?
Why do kids keep on wanting from their parents what their parents really can't give them?
I'll have to think about that.
Can I ask you one last question about
Yeah.
being a person? The idea of self-respect and also knowing yourself, right? The self-realization idea. But there's another idea about personality, which is Yates's. Which
Well,
also
sometimes,
seems,
yeah,
sorry,
go
which
ahead.
also seems a little close to you. And
Right.
he said, man is nothing until he is united to an image. That's what Yates said. And by that, apparently he meant something like spirits were working out their destiny as dramatic personae in his poems and in his dreams, you know? And that Yates also said that it is the reconstructed self that poetry expresses, and that to be a great poet you have to find and make manifest that other self. So there's an image of being yourself and being honest to yourself, and at the same time there's this image of creating an image of yourself. Now, you seem to be in both camps at the same time.
I don't know about that. Sometimes I think I'm a ghost, but at other times, only a poet can't. Like poets are like. Don't you have to have some poetic sense to be involved in this? In what we're all talking about? It's like what you were saying. You know, my record's getting put down. Well, I mean, I couldn't care less if my record is being put down. But like, are these poets who are putting it down, or who are these people? What qualifications do they have? I mean, are they poets? Are they musicians?
No.
You find me some musician or some poet, and then maybe we'd talk, about that. Maybe they know something I don't know. Okay, I can agree with that, but I work off, my feelings come from the gut, and I'm not too concerned with someone else whose feelings are coming from their head. That don't bother me none. The fact that don't even exist.
Well, I just wanted to tell you that I think your stuff, and it may not be worth anything to you, but I'm just one person, but there are many others too, because I get letters from them, because you write something about you, get letters from, your fans or whatever. But you have given an awful lot, and your stuff is really a gift, really.
Like those letters, I get letters from a lot of people all over the world. I get letters I get letters from Russia. I get letters from Brazil.
They don't want you to write to them.
No, these are people, a lot of these letters are just people that my music has touched. And so all these criticism, that...
Yet you are a little defensive about it, I have to be honest with you, and you shouldn't be.
Defensive about what?
About these critics who don't matter.
They don't matter. I mean, they don't matter.
I know they don't, but why?
Why they don't...
They attack me, I don't know how I'd act, actually, so I'm really being unfair to you. I'm not being criticizing you.
They've always attacked me. I mean, remember Newport? I mean, it started there. It's been going on for a long time.
What about all the hero worship of these people, too?
Well, some people, it's like a lover, you like somebody and then you don't want to like them anymore because you're afraid to admit to yourself that you liked them so much.
It's sort of a silly way to go about living.
I don't know. What good is it? I mean, you have to do try to do a good deed every day, try to do something good for somebody. I mean, the world is filled with criticizers and condemners, You just have to get beyond that.
And this thing here in some of these songs, the new songs of yours, and the simple ones, like when she's near me, she's so hard to recognize, and I feel displaced, and I'm in exile, and when you time for a new transition, there are a lot of things that are happening where the tyranny of love has made things a little unhappy on whatever side.
That's tyranny of man-woman love. Because that ain't real. I find that ain't too much love.
But in the Renaissance, they had this guy who once said that there are different kinds of love. You said there's the good, the bad, and the hard.
The good, the bad, the hard, and the holy.
You're adding holy onto it now?
Yeah.
I guess it should be holy.
Holy love is what we're after, what we're seeking.
What about this guy, that guy who followed Gershwin, who said...
Like, love is a driving wheel.
Is it what?
Driving wheel.
Driving wheel?
Right. That's my idea of love.
You don't think of love as Cupid and now hitting your heart and making you mad.
Nah, Cupid comes in a beard and a false mustache, Cupid has dark hair.
Well, what's a driving wheel? I don't know what you mean.
Well, we'll talk about that after maybe sometime. I gotta get
Oh, you
up
gotta
there.
go.
Yeah.
Okay.
See what's happening here.
Yeah.